Chapter 1926. Yeah. Mingyao's eyes lit up. Xiao telling Lin Yi to find a main wife wasn't wrong, but she and Shu had to help her check as well. Even without Xiao, they still had to complete Tang Yun's request. Inside the car, Xinyan felt more and more comfortable. It was as if she was going to fly into the sky, and she was sweating as well. She had to admit that treating a cold like this was a pleasure, 1,000 times better than getting in for drip. I'm done. Lin Yi finished the massage. Lin Yi had wanted to use the needles, but Lin Yi threw them into his backpack after dealing with the 2 drug dealers. His backpack was in the dorm now, and Lin Yi didn't bother going back to get it. For a cold like this, there was no difference between massage and needles. It's done? It was only then that Xinyan realized that she was drenched in sweat, and that her clothes were all wet. But she did feel refreshed, and the dizziness she'd been feeling before was gone. She didn't want to leave though. She felt like the treatment was going a little too fast. But she cursed herself for being shameless. Was she craving the feeling of Lin Yi's hands massaging her body? Xinyan's face was a little unreadable, and Lin Yi was a little confused. Why do you look a little weird? Am I not completely healed? Xinyan wanted to say, you're not healed? Check me again, but she didn't dare to do that. She felt that what she'd done these past few days had already crossed the line, even more so than anything she'd done since she was young. If she continued like this, wouldn't she become a bad girl? I'm healed. I'm just sweating a little and I'm a little hot. I need to cool down. Xinyan said quickly. Book Ocean Pavilion. Net. Cool down. That won't do. Stay in the car and don't go out. Wait until the sweat is gone before you go out. Otherwise you will catch a cold again. Lin Yi said. Okay, you go do what you need to do then. I'll be fine in the car, Xinyan said. Okay, then I'll leave first. Call me anytime if you need anything. Lin Yi nodded. Since Xinyan's illness was cured, there was no point in him staying here any longer. Thanks, Xinyan said. What's there to thank? We're comrades. Lin Yi laughed. Yeah, we're comrades in arms. Xinyan said with a smile. Yeah, she and Lin Yi were comrades in arms. What was there to be so particular about? Lin Yi got off the car and nodded to Miss and Shu. Okay, let's go? Okay, Faubert said that he's inspecting the market in Donghai. Dad wants to expand his business here so that Pingzhan Industries can grow and see us more often, Meng Yao said. Faubert said that we'll call him when we get home and he'll come over. Then let's go back and wait for him now. Right, did you tell Grandma Sun? Let her prepare some food and we'll eat at home tonight, Lin Yi said. I already told Grandma Sun and she's probably preparing it already, Meng Yao said. Right, Lin Yi, why are you still wearing the uniform from the military training? Oh, the previous set of clothes was dirty and I didn't have time to wash it, so I didn't change it, Lin Yi said. Meng Yao nodded and didn't say anything. The 3 got in the car and Lin Yi drove back to the Shuashang district. As expected, when they got back to the villa, Grandma Sun was busy in the kitchen. The fragrance from the kitchen made people salivate. Grandma Sun is really good, her cooking is even better than those chefs in the hotels. Meng Yao felt that it was really a happy thing to have Grandma Sun as a housekeeper here. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi was also very confused about this. Grandma Sun was a scavenger, how could she have such cooking skills? This was really a strange thing. But the most important thing was that Grandma Sun's memory of the past was a little blurry. She couldn't remember the past, so Lin Yi knew nothing about her background. But one thing was certain. From all the signs, Grandma Sun should be a person with a story, but for some reason she lost her memory. Although she lost her memory, she didn't lose her cooking skills. It was probably an instinct. Of course, Lin Yi didn't deliberately ask about Grandma Sun's past, nor did he try to help her recover her memory. Everyone had their own secrets and difficulties and he didn't want to delve into it. What if it was a memory that Grandma Sun didn't want to remember? Shaking his head, Lin Yi called Faubert. Little E, have you gone back? Faubert's voice came from the other side of the phone. Faubert, we're back. We're in the villa in the Shuashang district. Lin Yi said, where are you? I looked at the location of a few buildings that are being sold and took some pictures. I'm going to discuss with Mr. Chu to see if it's a suitable place to set up a branch company in Donghai City. Faubert said, it's almost done now. I'll go over now. And you can go to the villa area in the Shuashang district. My jeep is parked outside the villa. It's that one, Lin Yi said. Okay, I'll go over now. Faubert said. After hanging up the phone, Grandma's son came out with a plate of spicy chicken and placed it on the table. It was really delicious. It made people salivate at first glance. Mr. Lin, Miss Chu, when will the guests arrive? There are also a few hot dishes. It's better to eat them while they're hot. Grandma's son asked. They'll be here soon. They're not guests. They're all family. It's the housekeeper from Songshan City. Grandma's son, I told you before, Linny said. Ah. Grandma's son heard that it was Faubert. She suddenly blushed. She didn't know what to do. Just like that. From her point of view, Linny just said it casually last time. She would forget about it after a few days. She didn't expect Lin Yi to bring it up again. Grandma's son didn't know what to do. She wasn't ready yet. It's just a meeting. There's no other meaning. Get to know each other first. You're both housekeepers. You need to get to know each other. Linny said. Yeah, Grandma Sunday Faubert is actually a very good person. Meng Yao also added. In fact, if Faubert and Grandma Sun could be together, it would be a good thing. Not only would Faubert not be lonely, but Grandma Sun would also have a companion. Plus they were all family. There wouldn't be any problems. Chapter 1927. Shuhai Pavilion. Meng Yao didn't want to see Faubert stay single with her dad. Her dad's situation was different from Faubert's. Her dad left because her mom left, but Faubert's wife and daughter both died. How pitiful. I'll continue preparing. Granny's son was too embarrassed to say anything else. She turned around and went into the kitchen again. Not long after, the sound of a car came from outside the courtyard. Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Shu guessed that it might be Faubert. They quickly went out to greet him, but it wasn't Faubert's car. It was a BMW X5M parked in front of the villa next door. Meng Yao glanced at the BMW X5M in surprise. Huh. Did someone move into this house? Meng Yao asked as she looked at the BMW X5M in surprise. There was an empty villa next to the villa Lin Yi bought. It was the luxuriously decorated villa they bought the other day. Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Shu only found out after they moved in. However, the villa wasn't sold on the day they bought it. They didn't expect it to be sold so soon. The person in the BMW was probably the owner of the villa. No matter what, since they were out, they couldn't just ignore their new neighbors. After all, they were going to live together in the future. So Meng Yao decided to greet them. It was a matter of politeness. As for whether they could get along in the future, that was a matter of the future. After the BMW X5M turned off, a beautiful girl and a shy boy got out of the car. Lin Yi frowned slightly. These two people were the brother and sister he met at the real estate agency that day. They wanted to rent a house. However, they actually rented a villa. But Lin Yi immediately rejected this idea. How could such a luxuriously decorated villa be rented out casually? After all, decorations would wear out with use. If this house was rented out for a few years, the cost of the decorations would be greatly reduced. The rent wouldn't even cover the cost of the decorations. So the only possibility was that this villa was for sale. These two siblings actually bought a villa. The difference between before and after was a bit too big. Especially when the beautiful girl's eyes flashed when she was at the real estate agency. It was still fresh in Lin Yi's mind. Lin Yi didn't know this pair of siblings back then, so he didn't pay too much attention to the beautiful girl's eyes. But now that they were here and became his neighbors, Lin Yi frowned again. Was it a coincidence or did they have other intentions? But Lin Yi was sure that he had never seen this pair of sisters before. If it was a coincidence, this pair of siblings was already at the real estate agency when he went to the real estate agency. Moreover, Lin Yi chose this real estate agency on the spur of the moment. There were many real estate agencies nearby, not just this one. So it was too far-fetched to say that this pair of siblings was waiting for him there. But if it wasn't a coincidence, what did they mean by buying a villa next to his house? Especially when the beautiful girl glanced at him back then, Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. Of course, maybe that glance was because he brought two beautiful girls into the real estate agency and they wanted to buy a villa. Or maybe it was because they saw that he bought a villa, so they also bought a villa. They were a pair of rich siblings. In order to keep a low profile, they chose to rent a house. But when they saw their classmate buying a villa, they didn't care anymore. Similarly, they also bought a villa. This was the most reasonable explanation. The girl seemed to have noticed that someone was looking at them and looked over at Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Yushu. She was a little surprised to see Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Yushu, but she nodded at them and walked over. When the beautiful girl bought the villa, She only wanted to buy a villa that was closer to her house. She definitely didn't expect these two villas to be neighbors. Only when she moved in today did she realize that they lived next door. What a coincidence. She didn't expect to become neighbors. The beautiful girl said to Lin Yi and the others generously. What a coincidence. Lin Yi said faintly, didn't you want to rent a house that day? Why did you buy a villa? I wanted to rent a house, but when I saw that you bought a villa I was a little tempted. So I also bought a villa. The beautiful girl said, I just didn't expect to become neighbors. Lin Yi saw that the beautiful girl's surprise didn't seem to be fake. He was a little confused. Could it really be a coincidence? The beautiful girl's surprise was naturally not fake. She was surprised that the two villas were actually neighbors. So that's how it is. You are also students of Donghai Industry University? Lin Yi asked. Yes, my brother and I are both students. But after buying the villa, there was something at home that I didn't report. I took a day off to report tomorrow. Oh, Lin Yi nodded and didn't ask anymore. My name is Chu Mingyao. She's Yushu. Donghai Engineering University's Economics Department. Mingyao heard that the siblings were also students of Donghai Engineering University. She immediately had a good impression of them. They were from the same school. It would be easy to get along with them. She could even visit them when she had nothing to do. You are from the Economics Department. What a coincidence. My brother is also from the Economics Department. The beautiful girl said, I'm Han Jingjing. This is my brother Han Xiaochao. I didn't expect them to be from the same department. Han Jingjing asked, You're not from the Economics Department? Han Jingjing said, No. I'm from the Biology Department. Han Jingjing said, It's just a small major. I'm afraid you haven't heard of the Medicine Department. Lin Yi frowned slightly. The Medicine Department was a bit too much of a coincidence. But after Lin Yi confirmed that the two were not practitioners, he didn't continue to ask. Some things were useless even if he suspected them. He could only wait and see. Mingyao was a little confused. Why would a girl apply for the Medicine Department? Lin Yi was also a Medicine Department. What a coincidence. You too? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi in surprise. You also like to study herbs? Lin Yi nodded. That's great. Let's learn more from each other in the future. I like to study herbs too. Han Jingjing said happily as if she had found a confidant. But before Lin Yi could say anything, a Bentley drove over. It was Faubert's car. Lin Yi nodded at Han Jingjing. After hearing Han Jingjing and her brother's names, he was even more sure that he didn't know these two people. Even when he was on missions before, he had never heard of these two people. Hey, we need to go tidy up the villa too. Han Jingjing said as she opened the trunk of the car and took out some blankets and daily necessities. Seemed like she was going to buy some things. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Target equals undefeated. Chapter 1928. This was one of the weakest points on the human body, and hitting it would cause a person to faint or even die. What Chi-Chi wanted to do was to hit it in one hit. Ping. A dull sound rang out and Chi-Chi actually hit Nai Peo's neck. Chi-Chi didn't dare stay long after the hit and quickly retreated to the side. On the other side, Yu Bing wanted to keep the Zhuang brothers busy, but he realized that they didn't seem to have any intentions of doing anything. Evidently they were very confident in Nai Peo. But in Lin Yi's eyes there was a flash of worry. After Chi-Chi hit Nai Peo, he didn't seem to be affected at all, as if he wasn't affected at all. In the next moment, Lin Yi suddenly felt a strong wave of qi coming from his palms, rushing into his body and sending him flying. Lin Yi's body landed heavily on the ground, his organs churning, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. But as bad as it looked, his injuries weren't that serious. He'd used Nai Peo's qi to fly out the moment he sensed that something was amiss. Otherwise, he'd be even more injured if he'd taken the attack head-on. You're not afraid of physical practitioners? Lin Yi wiped the blood from his mouth as he stood up from the snow, sighing. It seemed like his first plan had failed. Nai Peo wasn't afraid of physical practitioners at all. You think I only know how to absorb qi from spiritual practitioners? Idiot. Nai Peo looked at Lin Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. No wonder you came looking for trouble with me so confidently. You thought you had a trump card to deal with me? You must have eaten too many stupid pills. Who told you that physical practitioners could deal with me? If I were to be defeated by a mere physical practitioner, then I wouldn't even need to show my face anymore. I've underestimated you. Lin Yi said with a self-mocking smile. Ah. Lin Yi, to tell you the truth, my mental cultivation method is omnipotent. Not only can it absorb other people's true qi, but it can also transform other people's attacks into true qi when they enter my body, including the attacks of external experts. Do you know how I cultivate? I often injure myself all over so that I can improve my strength. Plus, even poisons don't work on me, I can convert them all into qi. Nai Peo said proudly, you haven't learned how to convert energy, have you? All kinds of energy could be converted into each other. Let me tell you, in front of me you are simply too weak. If I were in a novel, I would be the main character with a halo and a golden finger, while you are just a supporting character for me to trample on. Lin Yi was shocked, not because Nai Peo wasn't afraid of physical practitioners, but because Nai Peo's practitioners' arts were very similar to his own art of dragon mastery. Both of them were omnipotent energy conversion arts. The only difference was that Lin Yi's arts could convert the energy in the jade space into other types of energy, but Nai Peo's was the opposite. He could convert all the energy in the outside world into his own true qi. Between the two there was actually a similar effect. Lin Yi didn't think that Nai Peo would have this kind of luck, training in such a strong practitioner's arts. Your practitioner's arts are very strong, both physical and spiritual. So you're saying that even if I don't touch you and attack you with weapons, you can still convert my true qi for your own use? Lin Yi asked. Of course. Nai Peo laughed. Today I'll let you know the truth before you die. I'll tell you the truth, I'm invincible under Earth class, the number 1 under Earth class. Unless it's an early Earth class physical or spiritual master, they're nothing in front of me. It seems like Pin Liang didn't choose the wrong follower after all, you're very strong. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Finding a physical practitioner to deal with you was my first plan, but it seems like it's useless now. Instead of directly touching your body, I will use my weapon to attack you. This is my second plan, but it seems that it has failed again. My third plan was to use poison, but you're not even afraid of poison, you really are invincible. It seems like all 3 of my plans have failed. I told you I'm the main character of this story, what are you? You're just an ant trying to deal with me with a few useless plans? Are you dreaming? Nai Peo heard Lin Yi admit defeat and was very pleased. But today I won't kill you, I'll make sure you lose all your strength again. I'm keeping you alive so that Liang Bro can kill you with his own hands. Hearing that all 3 of Lin Yi's plans had failed, Yu Bing and Chi-Chi's faces turned nervous and disappointed. This Zhang Nai Peo was too strong, wasn't he? It was beyond their imaginations. Lin Yi's 3 plans were all useless against him. Is that so? But I've always felt like I'm the main character, right? Lin Yi suddenly spoke as he reached out with his right palm, slapping towards Nai Peo, his qi bursting out of his body as he channeled his practitioner's arts. You're still trying to act cool in front of me? Nai Peo didn't expect Lin Yi to initiate an attack at this point. He even channeled his practitioner's arts. Wasn't he looking to die? Nai Peo smiled coldly as he raised his right hand, ready to receive Lin Yi's palm and suck all the qi out of his body. Since you want to be the main character so much, I'll let you be the main character today, but only for 1 chapter. I'll let you have more screen time and die a horrible death. Bang. As he spoke, Lin Yi and Nai Peo's palms collided, but the next moment, Nai Peo realized that Lin Yi had stopped channeling his practitioner's arts. There was no qi on his palm again. What are you doing? Nai Peo paused as he prepared to use his qi to send Lin Yi flying again. But then Lin Yi's qi surged towards him like a tsunami. Nai Peo paused but started laughing. I get it. You want to attack me when I'm not channeling my wasp absorption arts, right? So what if I am? Lin Yi asked. Chapter 1929. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1941. Faubert's wife Lin Yi glanced at the BMW's license plate and model. It was the latest American model this year. It hadn't been released in the country yet, so it had to have been imported not too long ago. The license plate too was the latest from East Box. It was obvious that it was a new car. He couldn't tell who the siblings were from the car. However, to be able to afford a villa and an X5M, this pair of siblings must be very rich. Yao Shu. Faubert got out of the car and smiled when he saw Lin Yi and the others. He hadn't seen them for half a month. Faubert heard that the military training was over, so he rushed over. Faubert, you've been quite energetic recently. It seems like everything in Songshan is going well, Lin Yi smiled. Faubert was no longer depressed. He looked refreshed and energetic. Yeah, Pingshan Industries is on the right track and Mr. Chu has changed his business philosophy. Perhaps Pingshan Industries will welcome a rapid growth. Faubert said, but it's all thanks to E. Because Uncle Fu also saw that there were neighbors moving things over there, he didn't say much and didn't say much. Faubert, the food is ready and the people are ready. We're just waiting for you. Meng Yao looked at Faubert mischievously. The people are ready as well? Faubert paused and remembered what Lin Yi said before. He shook his head helplessly. I'm already so old. I don't have those kinds of thoughts anymore. Thank you for your kindness. I've thought about it carefully. I still can't forget my wife, so... Although Faubert didn't finish his sentence, Lin Yi and the others understood what Faubert meant. He didn't want to remarry yet, so it was better to let it go for now. Alright, let's just get to know each other as normal friends. You're the housekeeper of Songshan, and Grandma's son is the housekeeper of Dongheng. You'll have more chances to communicate with each other in the future, Lin Yi said. Okay, even if you didn't mention it, I have long wanted to visit this Miss Sunday. Thank her for taking you in. Faubert said. As they spoke, the four of them walked into the villa. Grandma's son had just placed the last hot dish on the table. Seeing that they had arrived, she immediately greeted them warmly. Mr. Lin, Miss Chu, the guests are here? Dinner is ready. When Faubert heard Grandma's son's words, the smile on his face froze. He raised his head in disbelief and looked at Grandma Sunday. At that moment, it was as if he had been struck by lightning. He looked at Grandma's son and was so moved that he couldn't speak. Time had changed her nirvana, the wind and frost had aged her appearance, but Faubert recognized the person in front of him at a glance. It was the woman he had been dreaming about, his wife, Sun Luoyue. It's her? She didn't die? She had been in Songshan all this time? Then why didn't she look for him? He was considered a famous person in Songshan. Although he didn't have as much exposure as a celebrity, he would always be accompanying Chu Pingshan in some of Songshan's business newspapers. Faubert, this is Grandma's son, Lin Yi introduced. He was about to introduce Faubert to Grandma's son when he turned around and saw Faubert's stunned expression. Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Faubert? Faubert, what's wrong? Grandma's son was also a bit confused. What was wrong with this person? Why did he stare at him the moment he entered? Why was he stunned? Although Grandma's son knew that she had dressed up for the past few days and had some charm, she was definitely not a great beauty. How could an old woman move a man's heart? Besides, she also knew Faubert's identity. It could be said that in Pingshan Industries, Faubert was only below one person but above tens of thousands of people. With this kind of identity, what kind of beauty couldn't he find? Why would he like her? So, although Grandma's son heard Lin Yi's matchmaking, she didn't care at all. Since this person didn't like her, then what did this look mean? However, Grandma's son also knew that this person should be closer than her, Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao, so she didn't show any dissatisfaction. However, although Grandma's son was confused, she could feel the deep love in Faubert's eyes. This made Grandma's son feel very strange. Could it be that he fell in love with her at first sight? Luoyu, is that you? Faubert raised his hand nervously. His voice was trembling and his breathing became very rapid. Grandma's son looked at Faubert in confusion. Luoyu? Who is Luoyu? This name seemed a bit familiar. Had she heard of it before? Grandma's son shook her head again. She couldn't remember. Seeing Grandma's son's puzzled gaze, Faubert's heart sank. Although after so many years the person in front of him was no longer that young and beautiful girl, but Faubert was sure that she was his wife, Sun Luoyu. This was a feeling of closeness that came from the heart. I'm she. For the first time in many years, Li Fu said his real name, but he didn't care. The people standing around were all his closest people. No one would harm him. Moreover, Lin Yi was the person who saved his life many times. At this moment, Lin Yi also found out that Li Fu's real name was Shi. Li Fu, Shi, it was just two words turned upside down to form a name. Hearing the two words Shi, Grandma's son's face finally showed a slight change, but then Grandma's son's eyes became blank as if she was recalling something, but also seemed inexplicable. After a while she shook her head and said, I seem to have known you before, but I don't remember anything. You know who I am? At this moment, Lin Yi saw Faubert's expression. He could roughly guess who Grandma's son was to Faubert. He just sighed. This world was sometimes very big and sometimes very small. In the same city for so many years, but there was no interaction. But Grandma's son went with them to the East Sea and they actually met. Life is a drama made up of coincidence and fate. You are Sun Luo Yu, my wife. Faubert looked at Grandma's son and said anxiously. Mengyao and Yushu didn't know much about Faubert's background, so they didn't react as fast as Lin Yi. Only at this moment when Faubert said this, did they look at Faubert and Grandma's son in shock. Grandma's son was Faubert's dead wife? But Grandma's son was fine, so she didn't die. But looking at Grandma's son, she didn't seem to remember anything. Me? Your wife. Grandma's son's eyes widened in shock. My name is Sun Luo Yu. Chapter 1930. Grandma's son didn't think that Faubert would lie to her, because this kind of trick was used by young men to pick up girls. At their age, wasn't it ridiculous to use this kind of trick? And with Faubert's identity, there was no need for him to make up this kind of lie. // that's right. Faubert nodded and said, there is a mole under your right armpit and on your left calf, there is a 10-centimeter long scar. Although Grandma's son knew that Faubert didn't seem to be lying, but at this time when she heard Faubert say the characteristics of her body, she was still very surprised. Could it be that what he said was true? Was she really his wife? Naturally, Grandma's son knew about the mole under her armpit, but she didn't know where the scar on her calf came from. She couldn't remember it at all, but Grandma's son always wore long clothes and pants, so it was impossible for her to expose these two places. Even Mengyao and Yushu who lived with her didn't know about it, so how could Uncle Fu know? Sure enough, it's really you. Although Faubert was confident before, at this moment, seeing Grandma's son's expression, Faubert's heart relaxed. It was her, no mistake, his wife. For a moment, Faubert was filled with emotions and tears flowed down his old face. How many years had it been? How many times had he seen her in his dreams? Although she was younger and more beautiful than she was now, those were all illusions. When he woke up from the dream, it was all in vain. Although the current Grandma's son was no longer youthful and beautiful, it was real in front of him. And what Faubert cared about was not her beauty but this feeling. Even if she was disfigured, crippled, or even turned into a vegetable, Faubert would still be by her side until the end of time. I'm your wife? How come I don't remember? Grandma's son looked at Faubert's excited look and it didn't seem fake at all. But she had no memory at all. She only vaguely remembered that there seemed to be such a person in the depths of her memory. Yes. Faubert nodded heavily. Uncle Fu, Grandma's son, I don't think we should just stand here. Let's eat something and talk. Lin Yi sighed. Seemed like things were getting a bit awkward. It wasn't as simple as he thought. By a freak combination of factors, he wanted to find an old partner for Faubert, but he found his first wife instead. But Grandma's son had lost her memory. However, Lin Yi could feel it clearly. Grandma's son was not a cultivator, but according to Faubert, she should also be a cultivator. No. Sun Jingyi was also a cultivator, but the Sun family's internal energy cultivation method was very strange. It was a supplementary cultivation method and it had nothing to do with strength. It was impossible to see through one's strength. However, on Sun Jingyi's body, if he didn't look carefully, Lin Yi could still feel the fluctuations of qi. When he was a golden class, this feeling was almost non-existent, but after he reached the mystic class or even the earth class, he could still find some characteristics of a cultivator on Sun Jingyi's body. But these characteristics on Grandma Sunday, not a single one. If it wasn't for Faubert being so sure that this person in front of him was his former wife, Lin Yi couldn't believe it. This person was the Sun family's genius who could help Faubert recover his qi and heal his injuries. Yes. Look at me, I'm so excited. Faubert was a little apologetic. Everyone hasn't eaten yet, right? Let's eat together and talk. Faubert naturally sat together with Grandma Sunday. Mingyao's heart was full of emotions. But Yushu was curiously looking at Faubert and Grandma Sunday. Lin Yi had doubts in his heart, but he didn't ask. After sitting down, Faubert couldn't wait to put a mouthful of food into his mouth. But after eating, he said, "Not bad, this is the taste. How many years has it been? I've always missed this taste, Luo Yin, I finally see you again." Grandma's son also saw the deep love and longing in Faubert's eyes, but she really couldn't remember at all. In her memory, although she had a husband and a daughter, she didn't know where they went. Fu? Am I really your wife? What exactly happened to us? Grandma's son didn't think that Faubert was lying to her. She was just a scavenger before she became Lin Yi and Ming Yao's housekeeper. With this identity she was definitely not good enough for Faubert. Even now she felt that there was a gap between the two of them. Plus she was an old woman now, not beautiful at all. Faubert's love came from his heart and he didn't want anything from her. So in her heart, Grandma Sun believed Faubert's words. While sighing that it was really a coincidence, she was also a little troubled. She couldn't remember anything. Faubert hesitated, but he didn't continue. Let's eat first, I'll tell you after we eat. I don't want to ruin everyone's mood. What happened back then was a tragedy. Now that the family was sitting around the table, it was time to eat happily. Why talk about the sad past? Besides, now that he had found his wife, there was no need to talk about those sad things. The only regret was that his daughter was missing. She was so young, she was probably killed by the enemy. And his own master, although he was a sky-class master, how could the enemy let him go? In order to protect himself, he might have died under the enemy's encirclement. Yeah, let's eat first. Lin Yi knew about Faubert's background. He knew that if he said it now, he was afraid that everyone wouldn't be able to eat, so he quickly said, Faubert, you met Grandma Sun again, it's the will of the heavens, it's a happy occasion, let's drink together and celebrate. Although Faubert thought about his daughter and master, to be able to find his wife was already a blessing in disguise. It was indeed a happy occasion, so he immediately nodded and agreed. This meal, the atmosphere was very strange. Faubert kept putting food into Grandma Sun's bowl, but this meal was cooked by Grandma Sun, Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao, and Yushu wanted to say something, but they didn't know what to say. This was a matter between Faubert and Grandma Sun. They couldn't say anything. On the other hand, although Faubert looked very happy and excited, he didn't know how to say some words to Grandma Sun. He didn't know where to start. Although Grandma Sun was lucky to escape from the massacre that year, his daughter and master were not spared. If he told Grandma Sun about it, would she be very sad? To be continued. Vote recommendation monthly vote. Chapter 1931. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1943. Remembered? But these things had to be said. If he didn't say it, Faubert wouldn't be able to make Grandma Sun believe that he was her husband. Even if Grandma Sun did believe him, he wouldn't be able to hide it from her. Please remember, so Faubert tried to think of a way to express himself in a roundabout way to lessen Grandma Sun's sadness. Faubert, Grandma Sun, you guys must have a lot to talk about. How about this, you guys go to the room and talk alone. Yao Shu and I will watch TV for a while. Lin Yi said. The food was almost finished and everyone looked like they didn't have much appetite. So Lin Yi suggested. Okay. Faubert had wanted to talk to Grandma Sun alone for a long time. If it wasn't in front of everyone, Faubert wouldn't know how to say it. It wasn't that he wanted to hide it from Meng Yao and the others, but there were some things that he didn't know how to say. Mr. Fu. Come with me to my room, Grandma Sun sighed. Grandma Sun sighed. What happened today was too strange and she couldn't accept it. However, she could see that Uncle Fu didn't seem to be lying, but she couldn't convince herself to believe him. Sun. Miss Sun, you don't need to call me Mr. Fu. My name is Li Fu now. You can call me Li Fu. Faubert didn't want to reveal his identity. He didn't want his enemies to find out. Okay. Mr. Li Fu. Grandma Sun paused. No wonder she felt this name was familiar when Meng Yao sent the money. Li Fusu. Wasn't this reversed? Could it be that the name she'd really occupied a large proportion in his heart? Walking into the room with Faubert, Lin Yi sat on the sofa. Meng Yao and Yushu sat down as well. Although the TV was turned on, all three of them were focused on Faubert. They didn't have the mood to watch TV at all. Yao Yao sis, do you think Grandma Sun is Faubert's wife? Yushu asked. It should be. Meng Yao said. I've never seen Faubert lose his composure like that before, and his eyes don't look fake either. There's no reason for him to lie. Oh, that's strange. Why doesn't Grandma Sun remember Faubert? Could it be that she also took the forget? Yushu suddenly realized that Meng Yao was glaring at her with a murderous glare. She quickly shut her mouth. She originally wanted to ask if Grandma Sun had also taken the senseless grass, but she suddenly remembered that Lin Yi was beside her. If she said it, then Lin Yi would definitely ask about it and it would be hard to explain. Moreover, thinking about it carefully, Grandma Sun's situation was different from Lin Yi's. She didn't remember anything, not just Faubert. Yeah, Grandma Sun might have lost her memories for some reason. Meng Yao quickly followed up on Yushu's words. Forgot some things. Lin Yi frowned. He felt that he had forgotten some things after going crazy, but he didn't know what it was exactly. It was probably something related to Xiao Xiao, something about the first wife. With that thought, Lin Yi asked, Yao Yao, I seem to have forgotten some things as well. It's about my first wife. Who is she? Meng Yao was about to explode. She wanted nothing more than to kick Yushu into outer space. What the hell was this girl talking about? Wasn't she just waiting for Lin Yi to ask her about it? Wasn't she just waiting for Lin Yi to ask questions? But she couldn't blame Shu in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi would be even more suspicious if she did. So Meng Yao only glared at Shu before turning to Lin Yi and acting surprised. You don't remember the first wife? I don't. What's going on? Lin Yi asked. It's like this. Yushu quickly told Lin Yi about Xiao Xiao's idea. One had to admit that Shu was quite eloquent. Lin Yi believed her after her vivid description. So you're saying that I didn't like Xiao Xiao, that's why I took her in as a small wife, and she agreed to let me find a first wife? Lin Yi thought about it. He and Xiao Xiao didn't really have a good relationship. The girl was always messing with him and he'd messed with her a couple of times. He only got together with her because he heard that she was sick. Then what Yushu said was possible. And with Xiao Xiao's personality, she was always encouraging him to play with her, so what she said was true. So he didn't have a first wife and he was just looking for one? If that was the case, then it made sense. But why did he feel like it wasn't complete yet? That's right, that's it. Yushu said. The truth is, Yao Yao and I didn't know that Xiao Xiao had a terminal illness, so we kept pushing her aside. I said that Yao Yao and I could play 3P with you and Xiao Xiao didn't like it, so she wanted you to find a first wife to play 3P with us as well. Meng Yao didn't know what to say, but she let Yushu continue. After all, Yushu's story made sense and Meng Yao didn't know what to say. And then, Lin Yi nodded. What Yushu said seemed to be in his memories and something like that did happen before, so Lin Yi didn't suspect anything. But what Lin Yi didn't know was that Yushu was just putting the blame on Xiao Xiao for what happened to Tang Yun, and that it was Tang Yun who got Xiao Xiao to go against her and Yao Yao, not Xiao Xiao, who wanted a first wife. But with Yushu twisting it like this, Lin Yi felt that it really was the case. And then I looked for one, but before I could find one, Xiao Xiao and I got back together and we became a prankster duo, and that was it. Yushu said. I see. Lin Yi nodded. I lost control and forgot some things, but now that you reminded me, I remember some things. It's not clear, but at least I know what's going on. Yeah, but Xiao Xiao told Yao Yao and me before she left, saying that if you were looking for a first wife, Yao Yao and I should help you check, and that you can't just bring any random woman back. Yushu started making up a story. Chapter 1932. Date, October 20th. Chapter 1944. Can't remember. Oh, I'll tell you guys if I want to. Please keep that in mind. Lin Yi nodded. Alright, let's not talk about that, let's talk about Faubert. Right, Lin Yi, you know about Faubert's background, right? What's going on? Can you tell me and Shu about it? Meng Yao was afraid that Lin Yi would start asking questions again, and so she quickly changed the topic back to Faubert. She was also very curious as to what happened between Faubert and Grandma Sunday. Lin Yi obviously knew about it from his expression at the dinner table. All right. Lin Yi didn't have anything to do anymore. While Faubert talked to Grandma Sun, Lin Yi told Meng Yao and Yushu about Faubert's family. The Miss Face was a little sad when Lin Yi was done, and Shu was silent as well. The two were evidently affected by Faubert's tragedy. Lin Yi didn't interrupt them, and Lin Yi felt the same sadness when he heard Faubert's story. After a while, Meng Yao spoke up. I knew that Faubert had a sad past, but I didn't know it was this bad. Yeah, I didn't think that Faubert's daughter, and his Shifu? Yushu was showing her true self now. Luckily he found Grandma Sun, that's a blessing in disguise. Yeah, as long as they can be together they can spend the rest of their lives peacefully. Meng Yao nodded. But I don't know how Grandma Sun lost her memories and if she can recover them? Yushu said. Meng Yao was so pissed that she wanted to kick Yushu's chubby boobs to death. What the hell was this about amnesia again? Lin Yi, your medical skills are superb. Do you have a way? Meng Yao changed the topic to Lin Yi's medical skills, not giving Lin Yi much time to think. I'll give it a try. Lin Yi couldn't guarantee anything. He would check it later. Not long after Lin Yi finished speaking, Faubert and Grandma Sun pushed open the door and walked out. Lin Yi saw that although Faubert's face was filled with relief, there was also some distress. Grandma Sun's face seemed to be filled with sadness and confusion. Faubert, how is it? Mengyao asked. I told her everything, but she couldn't remember anything. Faubert smiled bitterly. I'm not sure if I'm Mr. Li Fu's wife because I really don't remember anything. Grandma Sun said painfully. I can't remember anything, I have no memory at all, but I know that you guys wouldn't lie to me. Right, Faubert, when you and Grandma Sun got married, didn't you have a marriage certificate? Linny suddenly asked. This was the most important piece of evidence. Although these Wulian people didn't really care about the rules of the common world, it was still possible for them to go through the motions. Yes, but we didn't even have time to save our lives when the whole family was annihilated. Where would we get the chance to take those things out? Faubert smiled bitterly. My identity as Li Fu was also registered by Mr. Chu. But there should be a record in the civil office, right? Wouldn't we know when we check? Linny said. If it's registered in another province, I can ask Huaijuan or Lingshan to do it. Should be easier for them. That's right. Faubert's eyes lit up. Luiyue, when we got married we took a picture too. There must be a record. We'll know when we check. Yeah. Grandma Sun believed Faubert's words, but she didn't mind confirming it if there was evidence. Lin Yi didn't waste any time, calling Huaijuan's number and telling him about the situation. Huaijuan agreed without hesitation, since it was a piece of cake for him to investigate a marriage registration. Not long after, Huaijuan sent an email to Lin Yi's phone. It was the record of Sun Luoyue and Shi's marriage. One had to admit that Huaijuan was very efficient. It was already time to get off work, but Huaijuan still got the record in a short amount of time. He passed the phone to Faubert and Grandma Sunday. Lin Yi said. It's here. Now Grandma Sun, do you believe me? It's really like this. Grandma Sun looked at the record on the phone. A complicated expression appeared on her face. After all, what Faubert said was very sad, but Grandma Sun didn't have any memories of it. But now that her identity was confirmed, Grandma Sun's heart felt empty. Although she found her husband, her daughter and her husband's master were probably gone. This difference between happiness and sadness made her silent again. Grandma Sun, the dead are long gone. It's been so long, don't think about it. Now that we found Faubert again, isn't it a blessing in disguise? If it wasn't for fate we might not have met again. Linny said. Yeah. Grandma Sun nodded and sighed. He felt a little better. So, I was a practitioner and a member of the noble house, son? Of course. Faubert nodded. But now Grandma Sun's eyes showed a trace of confusion again. This feeling of not remembering anything was very depressing. She tried her best to remember the past. If she could remember the past, then she might know some things that Faubert didn't know, and that was the whereabouts of her daughter and master. If she didn't know these things, then it would be fine. But since she knew, Grandma Sun was naturally very eager to know the answer. She frowned as if she was trying hard to remember something, but to no avail. No, I still can't remember. I don't remember anything. There are some vague impressions, but I don't know what they are. Grandma Sun, are you remembering? Linny asked. Yes, if you can remember what happened in the past, maybe you will have some clues about your daughter and master. You can also know a little about your enemy. Grandma Sun nodded and said. Grandma Sun, let me help you check it. Linny didn't know what Grandma Sun meant. Although he wanted to help, if Grandma Sun didn't want to remember the tragic past, then Linny wouldn't interfere. That was because it was not a happy thing for anyone. It would only make them more depressed and sorrowful. But Grandma Sun clearly wanted to remember what happened in the past and find some clues, so Lin Yi naturally had to find a way to help. Chapter 1933. Date, October 20th. Chapter 1945. The Cause of Amnesia, Part 1. Right, Lin Yi, you're a miracle doctor. Faubert was happy when he heard that Lin Yi wanted to help. Yes, Mr. Lin is a miracle doctor. I had a stroke with crooked mouth and eyes and rheumatism on my leg, but miracle Dr. Lin cured me instantly. Grandma Sun was full of confidence when she remembered that Lin Yi also cured her illness. I can only check whether it can be cured or not. I'll try my best. When Lin Yi cured Grandma Sun's crooked mouth and leg, he didn't check on Grandma Sun's other physical conditions. After all, time was limited and Lin Yi's goal was to cure Grandma Sun's crooked mouth and leg and then frame Zhen Yingjun. Okay, what do you need me to do? Grandma Sun asked quickly. Grandma Sun, just sit on the sofa and stretch out your hands, I'll check your pulse. Lin Yi could use his pure energy to check other people's body condition, so Grandma Sun didn't need to do anything, just relaxed. Grandma Sun nodded and sat next to Lin Yi on the sofa and stretched out her hands. Lin Yi grabbed Grandma Sun's meridians and started to check her body condition with his pure energy. However, as soon as he started, his pure energy was blocked. Lin Yi found that most of Grandma Sun's meridians were destroyed and the rest were blocked by blood clots. Although it wasn't as serious as Yang Huijuan, it was impossible for her to become a practitioner and practice pure energy. This situation was very similar to Faubert's. Faubert's meridians were also destroyed and he couldn't practice spiritual arts. It was the same for Grandma Sunday. In that case, Grandma Sun's crooked mouth and lame leg should not have been caused by a stroke or rheumatism, but by the blockage of her meridians. Although the two were blocked meridians and the treatment was relatively similar, the cause of the formation was completely different. Lin Yi didn't look at it carefully at the time, so he only cured Grandma Sun's crooked mouth and leg. He thought it was caused by a stroke, but now it seemed that it wasn't. However, this was not a problem for Lin Yi. Lin Yi said to Faubert, "Faubert, my silver needles are in my backpack at school. Go out and find a pharmacy to help me buy another box." Lin Yi could use his true qi to repair the broken meridians, but for the blood clots that had accumulated for many years, he would have to use silver needles to remove them. Because the blood clots were already necrotic, it was impossible to use true qi to remove them. "Okay, I'll go now." Faubert quickly stood up and quickly ran out of the villa to buy silver needles. As for Lin Yi, he began to use his true qi to repair Grandma Sun's damaged meridians. Lin Yi was very familiar with repairing meridians. Grandma Sun didn't know how Lin Yi treated her, but she felt a warm and comfortable feeling throughout her body, as if her whole body was restored to life. Even Meng Yao and Yushu noticed the changes in Grandma Sun, because Grandma Sun's face was changing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The wrinkles from before were gone, and what replaced it was a smooth face. Grandma Sun seemed to be a few years younger in just a short period of time. Regarding this change, Lin Yi didn't find it strange. Grandma Sun's meridians were blocked, and naturally it had a serious impact on the metabolism of the human body. After repairing, it was normal for her to look radiant, just like when Faubert's meridians were repaired by Lin Yi. He also seemed to be a few years younger. It was just helping Grandma Sun to repair her meridians, not increasing her strength, so Lin Yi was very familiar with it. Now that Lin Yi had practiced the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, it was a piece of cake for him to practice the first stage of the art of dragon mastery. His speed was also a lot faster than before, so very quickly Grandma Sun's damaged meridians were repaired by Lin Yi. Of course, Lin Yi didn't touch Grandma Sun's head yet. From Lin Yi's point of view, since Grandma Sun had lost her memory, then her head must have suffered some degree of injury, and the structure of the head was one of the most complicated parts of the human body, so Lin Yi had to wait for Faubert to buy the silver needles before he went to check and treat her. Very quickly Faubert ran back. He didn't drive, he ran completely on foot. Although the pharmacy wasn't too far from the district, it was still 2 kilometers from the villa area. Plus, Faubert wasn't familiar with the road to be able to come back in such a short time. It was obvious that he ran like crazy. He was very concerned about Grandma Sun's condition. Seeing Faubert sweating, Grandma Sun felt a burst of warmth in her heart. This man, it seemed like he loved her very much. Otherwise, as a practitioner, no matter how fast he ran, he wouldn't sweat so much. This sweat was obviously from anxiety. "Little E, I don't have any silver needles. These are ordinary silver-coated needles. Do you think they'll work?" Faubert took out a set of silver needles and placed it on the coffee table in front of Lin Yi, and said, "If it doesn't work, I'll drive to a big pharmacy to buy more." Nowadays, there were fewer and fewer people who bought this kind of acupuncture equipment. The price of silver needles was very expensive. Normal pharmacies wouldn't buy them. Silver-coated needles were already very good, but in Lin Yi's eyes this thing was just a tool. The key was the use of qi, so the material didn't matter. "Okay, I'll take this." Lin Yi nodded, opened the needle box, took out a few silver needles and casually inserted them into Grandma Sun's body, but everyone present knew that it wasn't casual, but Lin Yi's technique was too brilliant. It had reached the level of flowing water. With the improvement of his strength, the use of silver needles with qi, Lin Yi didn't have the initial feeling of difficulty. When he was treating Lu Zhenhu, Lin Yi would be very tired after a set of acupuncture, but now that feeling didn't exist anymore. Grandma son, don't think about anything now, I'll help you check the injury on your head, Lin Yi said. Okay. Grandma son quickly closed her eyes, not daring to think about anything else. And Lin Yi began to use qi to carefully check the condition of Grandma son's head, but as he probed deeper, Lin Yi let out a surprised cry. Huh? Hearing Lin Yi's exclamation, Faubert's face was slightly surprised, but he didn't dare to ask anything. He didn't know what happened to Lin Yi, so he could only carefully guard the side, waiting for Lin Yi's orders. The condition of Grandma son's head made Lin Yi feel very strange. It can be said that Grandma son's head was not injured. It was not like what Lin Yi thought. There was a blood clot pressing on the nerves or blocking the meridians, causing amnesia. Chapter 1934. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1946. The cause of amnesia, Part 2. Instead, in Grandma son's head, there was a strange ball of qi that was wrapping around a part of Grandma son's brain. This was the first time Lin Yi had seen something like this. Could it be that the qi had affected Grandma son's memory? However, under Lin Yi's investigation, although the qi was strange, it didn't seem to have any evil intentions. It didn't seem like it was purposely set up by a master, but it seemed to have naturally appeared. It was very comfortable in Grandma son's head, and there wasn't a single trace of repulsion. However, without being completely sure, Lin Yi didn't dare to touch the qi. After all, it was quite difficult for Lin Yi to force the fire qi out of Grandma son's head. Using the same method to force the qi out of Grandma son's head would be quite difficult. Moreover, the qi wasn't in Lin Yi's body, it was in Grandma son's body. This could lead to unpredictable dangers. Grandma son, there is a ball of qi in your head. It seems that it is wrapping around a part of your memory, but this situation is very strange. This is the first time I've seen something like this, so I need to think about it and do some research. Lin Yi said, I'll clear the blood in your body today. Grandma son agreed without hesitation. On the other hand, Faubert's face turned pale. He knew Lin Yi's methods. If even Lin Yi said it was difficult, then it must be very difficult. However, Faubert didn't say much. He could only hope that Lin Yi could find a good way. Clearing the blood in Grandma son's body was much easier. After Lin Yi finished the acupuncture, he began to infuse qi into the needles to break the blood in Grandma son's meridians. This way, the blood could flow out through the needles. Sure enough, after half an hour, every needle on Grandma son's body was wrapped in a layer of black substance. It was obviously the poison in her body. Even though Faubert and Grandma son knew that Lin Yi was a miracle doctor, they were amazed by the situation. Silver needle detoxification. Shield bro is amazing. Yushu looked at the filth on the needle curiously. Shield bro, do I have some kind of poison in my body? Like fire poison? Maybe you can help me purge it? Shu, don't mess around. Don't disturb Lin Yi. Mengyao was worried that Yushu would disturb Lin Yi. Don't worry, it's over. Lin Yi pinched the last needle and released it. He smiled at Xiao Shu. You're not sick, why are you queuing? Oh, just in case. Shield bro, can you help her check again? You can take off her clothes. Yushu said. Mengyao was speechless. Why did you have to come up with so many excuses if you wanted to take off your clothes for Lin Yi? Check my body? You don't have to take off your clothes. Just stretch out your hand and let me see. Lin Yi had no choice but to say. Yushu stretched out her hand. Lin Yi checked Yushu's pulse and shook his head. Shu, you are very healthy. You're not sick at all. I see, I don't need to purge the poison, Yushu said disappointedly. No need. Lin Yi checked Yushu and turned to look at the silver needles on Grandma Sunday. He felt that it was about time. Lin Yi quickly put away the needles and said, Grandma son, you can take a shower. You should be covered in filth. Okay. Grandma son also felt that her body was sticky and uncomfortable, so she quickly nodded. I'll help you rub, Faubert said subconsciously. This. Grandma son's face immediately turned red. Although she already knew that Uncle Fu was her husband, she still couldn't accept it for a while. Sorry, I didn't mean anything else. Faubert also realized that he was a little impatient. He really wanted to help. He didn't have any other thoughts. Grandma son didn't say anything. She quickly went back to her room to take a shower. Thank you so much. Uncle Fu said from the bottom of his heart. Faubert, we're family. But I still don't know what's going on with the qi in Grandma Sun's head. I'll go back to my room and ask. Lin Yi said he wanted to ask Jiao Yazi. However, he couldn't just expose this secret. He couldn't just sit on the sofa for a while without making a phone call. Hey, go and ask. Faubert said quickly. After saying it, he felt that he was too anxious. He suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I'm a little too anxious. It's nothing. I'll go and call now. Lin Yi smiled. He understood Faubert's feelings. Back in the room, Lin Yi didn't delay. He went directly into the jade space and said to Jiao Yazi, Jiao Lao, I encountered a strange phenomenon today. Lin Yi told Jiao Yazi about Grandma Sun's situation. There's qi in her mind, but this qi doesn't have any evil intentions? And she lost her memory? After listening to Lin Yi's words, Jiao Yazi repeated Lin Yi's words. Then he said, your situation, although I haven't encountered it before, I can make some guesses. What guess? Lin Yi asked quickly. As you said, she was a cultivator before she was injured and lost her memory. Then that qi is very likely to be produced by her. Jiao Yazi said. Produced by herself? What does that mean? That is to say, Grandma Sun lost her memory? Lin Yi asked curiously. You can say that. Jiao Yazi said, this is a cultivator's instinct. Under certain circumstances, the body's potential is stimulated and the memory in the mind is wrapped with qi. Wrapping memory with qi? Why would she do that? Lin Yi was even more puzzled. There are two possibilities. The first is that when she encounters some kind of danger and her life is in danger, there is a piece of memory that she is reluctant to part with before she dies. This piece of memory will be wrapped by the true qi that stimulates her body's potential. This is the so-called magical reincarnation with memories. In my memory, a friend of mine who is a science geek once did research on reincarnation. This situation does not necessarily apply to cultivators. Even ordinary people may stimulate their potential at the last moment of their lives and wrap their precious memories in the stimulated true qi. Then after they die, the set of memories wrapped in true qi will exist in the form of free electric waves. Chapter 1935. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1947 is thoughtful. If someone's brainwave vibration frequency is similar to the vibration frequency of this memory, then it is possible that this brainwave will be attached to this person. This is also when some people suddenly discover that they have a lot of knowledge that they didn't know before, or the brainwave of this memory is strong enough to replace the original owner's thoughts. This is the legendary possession. Of course, this brainwave can also travel back to the past or to another world. This is the so-called rebirth and transmigration. Jiao Yazi said. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates of pure TXT handwritten novels. Ugh. Elder Jiao, I don't want to transmigrate yet and I don't want to be reborn. Can you talk about the second possibility first? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. There really were scientists who wanted to research reincarnation? Then this scientist must be a great person. I'm just saying. It's impossible for you to transmigrate and be reborn. Do you think it's that easy? Even my scientist friend hasn't found a specific method to do it. Jiao Lao shook his head and said, the second possibility I'm talking about is that her family was destroyed. This is a sad past. She couldn't believe what happened in front of her and she didn't want to believe it. So she wrapped this sad memory with her Jin Qi, causing her to lose her memory. Obviously, this is the second possibility. Jiao Yazi said, and this possibility is quite common. It's not just her, other ordinary people will also have similar situations. This is commonly known as memory sealing. It's a person forcing themselves to forget a certain part of their memory. So, in other words, the Jin Qi in Grandma Sun's head was produced by her? Lin Yi asked. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates of pure TXT handwritten novels. I'm not sure about this. But since your art of dragon mastery can convert Jin Qi into universal Jin Qi, you just need to let her produce a bit of Jin Qi and compare it with the Jin Qi in her head. Jiao Yazi said. The key is that she lost her memory. She doesn't remember practicing at all. Although her meridians are repaired, she doesn't remember the mantra. It's impossible for me to help her recover her strength. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I see. Then there's nothing I can do. Ask Li Fu if he knows or if anyone else knows. Jiao Yazi shook his head and said helplessly. Okay, I'll go ask. Lin Yi nodded and walked out of the jade space, quickly returning to the living room. How is it? Faubert saw that Lin Yi came out so quickly and his heart sank. Was there no news? I asked it might be like this. As he spoke, Lin Yi told Faubert about the second possibility that Jiao Yazi had mentioned. It seemed that this possibility was more likely. So you mean that Luo Yin sealed her memory? Faubert was surprised. Then as long as we remove the Jin Qi from her head, we can recover her memory? In theory yes, but we're not sure if the Jin Qi in Grandma Sun's head was generated by herself. Although it doesn't seem to have any bad intentions, there's always a chance. If something happens when we remove the Jin Qi, the consequences will be unimaginable. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. If there really was a problem with the Jin Qi, it could even explode. If Grandma Sun's head exploded, even if Lin Yi was the reincarnation of Zhang Liju, he wouldn't be able to do anything. How do we determine it? Uncle Fu was startled and asked in a somewhat puzzled manner. Grandma Sun's practitioner's mantra, do you have it? If you do, you can try to let her practice it again. If the Jin Qi is the same as the one in her head, then I can confirm it. We can try to guide her to remove it, or when she reaches a certain level she can refine the Jin Qi on her own. Lin Yi said. Practitioner's mantra. Faubert smiled bitterly and said helplessly, I did have it before, but I didn't bring it with me when I left. Normal people can't practice House Sun's mantra, so I didn't purposely memorize it. House Sun? Does that mean that the practitioner's arts are the same as Grandma Sun's? Lin Yi's eyes suddenly lit up and asked. Yes, you mean? Faubert could more or less guess what Lin Yi meant. Sun Jingyi. Lin Yi nodded and said, she also practices House Sun's mantra. I just need to ask her for the mantra. Well, there's no need to go through so much trouble. I'll just check what her Jin Qi is like. That's great. Faubert heard that he found a way and was very happy, but his face suddenly tightened and said, Oh right little E, don't tell anyone from House Sun that you found Sun Luiyue. Oh? Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he quickly figured out Faubert's concerns. Faubert, you're afraid that your enemies will get the news and come looking for you? That's right. Faubert nodded and said, some things have to be guarded against. Although House Sun won't harm Luiyue, if the news is leaked it won't be worth it. Okay, I won't say it, Lin Yi said. While they were talking, Grandma Sun had finished her bath and walked out of the room. But at this moment Grandma Sun's skin, temperament and appearance all had a qualitative change. Grandma Sun's skin became fairer and more lustrous. The wrinkles on her face disappeared. If she was an old woman before, now she was a beautiful young woman. This change made Faubert surprised and happy. Although he wouldn't mind what Grandma Sun looked like, who didn't want their wife to be prettier? Faubert knew that this was all thanks to Lin Yi. Grandma Sun was also a practitioner, so after her meridians were opened, she would naturally look younger. This was a very normal thing. That's amazing, Yushu said in surprise. I didn't expect Grandma Sun to be such a beauty. I can't call her Grandma Sun anymore, I have to call her Aunt Sun. Grandma Sun obviously noticed the changes in herself. She was surprised and happy. Before, although Faubert showed his love, Grandma Sun felt that she was too old compared to him. But after Lin Yi treated her, her body changed drastically. You can call me whatever you want. I'm already used to it. Grandma Sun smiled and said, I didn't expect Mr. Lin to be so powerful. Lin Yi, can practitioners not age? Mengyao asked thoughtfully. Xiaoshuk. Chapter 1936. Date, October 20th. Chapter 1948. Speechless, not bad. Golden class masters can extend their lifespan. Mystic class masters can slow down the aging process. Earth class masters can slow down the aging process. And Sky class masters can maintain their youthful appearance forever. Lin Yi said, the moment you break through to Sky class, your appearance will never change again. What happens after Sky class? Yushu suddenly asked. Please remember, I don't know. Lin Yi shook his head. Mengyao nodded thoughtfully. So Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao wouldn't age at all? Mengyao looked at Lin Yi and suddenly had the urge to become a practitioner. She wanted to become a Sky class master too. But she also knew that some things could only be found by chance. It wasn't something she could get just because she wanted to, otherwise everyone would be a practitioner. Let's stop here for today's treatment. Tomorrow I'll contact Sun Jingyi and check on her qi, then check on Grandma Sun's qi. Lin Yi said, Faubert, it's getting late, you and Grandma Sun should rest early too. Mengyao and Yushu went upstairs and Lin Yi went back to his room, leaving only Faubert and Grandma Sun in the living room. Faubert felt a little awkward. I'll stay in the guest room. No need, since we are husband and wife, let's stay together. You can also tell me about the past. Grandma Sun hesitated and said shyly. Faubert wasn't in a hurry to do anything, but he was very excited about Grandma Sun's acceptance. He quickly nodded happily. Seeing Faubert act like a child, Grandma Sun shook her head helplessly, but at the same time she felt warm in her heart. The next morning, Faubert and Grandma Sun woke up early with a light smile on their faces. Although Grandma Sun hadn't recovered her memories yet, it was obvious that she had accepted Faubert. The two were busy preparing breakfast in the kitchen, and Lin Yi, Mengyao and Yushu smiled as they watched them. Faubert is so happy, it's the first time I've seen him so happy. Yushu's impression of Li Fu was that he was a serious man, not a single hair out of place. Even when he'd been staying in the villa and preparing breakfast for them in the mornings, he'd never looked this serious. He'd never smiled like this before. Uncle Fu found his wife, but where's my mom? Mengyao's eyes were filled with a sense of loss and loss. Yao, does Uncle Chu not know about your mom? Lin Yi asked. Daddy. He knows, but he won't tell me. He said I'm still young, some things are better left unknown. Mengyao shook her head. Lin Yi paused. Could there be some sort of secret behind all this? But since Pingzhan didn't want to talk about it, he didn't say much. Every family had their own, maybe something unexpected happened. After breakfast, Lin Yi, Mengyao and Yushu left the villa, ready to drive to school. Coincidentally, the siblings from the villa next door came out as well, obviously going to school as well. What a coincidence, you guys are going to school too? Han Jingjing greeted Lin Yi and the others. Yeah, you guys are going too? Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi was very indifferent to people he wasn't familiar with, especially when Han Jingjing's background made Lin Yi suspicious, so naturally he didn't have a good tone. I see, why don't we get a ride with you guys? Han Jingjing suddenly said, my brother and I don't know where the buildings for economics and biology are. You guys are from those two departments. Sure, let's go together then. Mengyao answered before Lin Yi could even reply. As far as she was concerned, they were neighbors and classmates and they were in the same profession. It was only natural for her to help out if she could. It wasn't a big deal. Lin Yi didn't want to be too close to them and wanted them to follow behind, but Lin Yi couldn't say anything since the miss had already agreed. Thank you so much. Han Jingjing and her brother got in the car and sat in the back with Mengyao, while Yushu sat in the front passenger seat. Lin Yi started the car and drove to school. It wasn't far from here, so they arrived in no time. After getting out of the car, Mengyao and Yushu brought Han Jingjing's brother to the economics department, leaving Lin Yi and Han Jingjing alone. Lin Yi locked the car and walked to the biology department without a word. Wait for me. Han Jingjing saw that Lin Yi was walking very fast and only caught up after 2 steps. Can you introduce me to the medicine department? There's nothing much to introduce. You don't know what you're applying for? Lin Yi said faintly. Han Jingjing pouted, feeling wronged. It's just a hobby of mine, but what rules are there? How many people are in the class? I don't even know that. Oh, there's a student rule in there after you get the textbook. You'll know the rules once you read it. As for how many people are in the class, you'll know. Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing wasn't expecting Lin Yi to brush her off like this. She pouted and followed behind Lin Yi, not too happy. Lin Yi was a little surprised at Han Jingjing's aggrieved face. Could it really be a coincidence? Judging from Han Jingjing's expression, a girl who showed her emotions on her face shouldn't have too many tricks up her sleeves. Was he thinking too much? But they hadn't walked far when Lin Yi heard Han Jingjing mumbling behind him. Ignore me, I'll kick you to death, I'll kick. Lin Yi was sweating. Wasn't this girl's temper a little too bad? She'd kick him to death if he ignored her, and Lin Yi didn't even get to hear more before he heard a scream. He turned to see Han Jingjing kicking a wooden stump, not expecting it to be so sturdy. Han Jingjing lost her balance and fell backwards, hitting her head on the ground with a thud. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Girl, wasn't she a little too fierce? Falling backwards after kicking a wooden stump? Are you all right? Lin Yi walked over helplessly and asked, but he saw Han Jingjing biting her lip. Tears were swirling in her eyes as if they were about to flow out, and her hand was covering the back of her head. She was as pitiful as she could be. I don't need you to care about me even if I'm dead. Moo. Han Jingjing suddenly cried, making Lin Yi speechless for a while. Did she change her face just like that? She wanted to kick me to death just now and now she doesn't need to care? Target equals undefined. Chapter 1937. However, Lin Yi was someone who could be persuaded but not cowed. Seeing Han Jingjing crying on the ground, he couldn't bear to see her like that. Before, Lin Yi had categorized her as one of the suspects, so Lin Yi didn't want to interact with her too much. But now it seemed that things were different. This Han Jingjing didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. On the contrary, her brain seemed to be missing a chord. Alright, stop crying. Let me see how your head is. Lin Yi bent down and carefully moved Han Jingjing's hand away. He saw that the back of Han Jingjing's head was already swollen. He thought to himself, thank goodness this girl is young. If she was older, wouldn't she have a cerebral hemorrhage? Woo. It hurts. Han Jingjing's face was wet with tears. She was as miserable as she could be. At this time, many students looked over. After all, they were very curious. What was a girl crying on the ground for? There were also some students who didn't know and had a lot of imagination. They started to think and scold Lin Yi. See that? This guy must have cheated on her and got found out by his girlfriend. Look at how pitiful his girlfriend is. This guy's eyes are really all the way to the soles of his shoes. Such a beautiful girlfriend, I'll definitely treasure her and worship her. Look at how he made her cry. Another guy said with righteous indignation. Although Lin Yi was far away, he was still in Earth class. His eyes and ears were naturally better than normal people. He heard the conversation clearly and was speechless. Lin Yi had to admit that Han Jingjing was a beauty. Her round face and big eyes made her look like a porcelain doll. This kind of beauty wasn't like the Miss Classic beauty, nor was it like Yushu's pure and playful beauty. It was more like a little Lolita's. Especially now when she was crying pitifully, it made people feel sympathetic. Therefore, the comments on this side were almost one-sided in favor of Han Jingjing, and Lin Yi became the heartless villain. Although Lin Yi didn't care about all this, it would be troublesome if his nonsense reached the Miss ears. Lin Yi had no choice but to deal with it quickly. He reached out and touched the big bump on Han Jingjing's head, quickly channeling the art of dragon mastery to heal it. Alright, stand up, let's go. Lin Yi said after curing Han Jingjing. It doesn't hurt anymore? Han Jingjing touched the back of her head and realized that the bulge was gone. She looked at Lin Yi in surprise and said, Wow, you're amazing. How did you do it? Can you teach me? Lin Yi frowned. Only now did he realize that he was a little reckless in a moment of desperation. He used pure energy to treat a neighbor he just met, and this neighbor was a curious baby, seemingly wanting to get to the bottom of it. We'll talk about it later. Let's go to the classroom now, there are people watching. Lin Yi said. Oh, okay. Han Jingjing patted the dust on her pants and followed Lin Yi happily. What's going on? Han Jingjing had been crying non-stop a moment ago, but now she was smiling all of a sudden, leaving with Lin Yi as if nothing had happened. The onlookers didn't know what was going on. I know that girl must have asked for something too much with her boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't agree, so she cried, and then when the boyfriend agreed, she smiled. A bystander said. That seems to be the case. Could it be that she wanted to buy some cosmetics or clothes and the boyfriend didn't buy it for her? Another bystander nodded. It's very likely. Another person also echoed. But no matter what, the people involved had left and they also dispersed. Now that it was class time, it was okay to watch the fun, but it was not worth the loss if they delayed the class. Lin Yi, how old are you? When were you born? Why are you so powerful? Han Jingjing asked like a curious baby. I don't know, said Lin Yi. He was also telling the truth. How would Lin Yi know when he was born? Would orphans know? How is it possible? You are lying, said Han Jingjing. I'm not lying. I'm an orphan. Lin Yi was afraid that she would cry again, so he answered. Han Jingjing was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to answer like this. She was a little silent. After a long time she said, Sorry, I don't know. Then since you are older than me, I will call you Brother Lin Yi. It's nothing. I'm used to it. Lin Yi said faintly, We are classmates. If you call me brother, what will others think? Why do you care about others? Han Jingjing asked with some doubts. Why? Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't know how to answer Han Jingjing's words. Yeah, why? Asked Han Jingjing. Nothing. Do whatever you want. Lin Yi shook his head. This Han Jingjing's IQ seems to be a little lacking. Could it be that she became stupid from the fall just now? Han Jingjing nodded happily. From now on you're my big bro Lin Yi. You have to teach me that miraculous healing skill. That? You can't learn it. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Why can't I learn it? Han Jingjing looked at him curiously. Because. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Why do you have so many whys? Why don't you go see 100,000 whys? What's 100,000 whys? Han Jingjing asked curiously. Defeated by you. Lin Yi was speechless. How did you live this long? To live with my younger brother. Han Jingjing said seriously. Lin Yi pointed at the classroom in front of him. We're here. This is the medicine faculty. Thank you. Can I go to and from school with Lin Yi big bro every day? Han Jingjing asked happily. We'll talk about it later. Lin Yi wanted to get rid of this 100,000 wise girl. Why did she have so much to say? Why didn't he see it before? If he knew she was so troublesome, he would have rejected her when she asked to be in the same car this morning. Lin Yi walked into the classroom and saw that the seats were the same as before. Xinyan was still sitting in the same seat. Lin Yi walked over and sat beside her. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi to Lin Yi's side. Han Jingjing's appearance attracted the attention of the students in the class. Xinyan was also a beauty in the school, but she was taken as soon as she arrived. The boys didn't have any ideas about her. Chapter 1938. But Han Jingjing was different. A beauty like her attracted the attention of all the bachelors. Even Yu Coiling Tiger took a few more glances at her. But Han Jingjing seemed to have come with Lin Yi. Why else would she be standing next to Lin Yi's seat? What else do you want? Lin Yi frowned as he looked at Han Jingjing. Where should I sit? Han Jingjing asked. Anywhere you want. Aren't there a lot of empty seats here? Lin Yi pointed at the empty seats around him. Then can I sit next to you, big brother Lin Yi? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi with a pitiful look. There's no space next to me. Can you sit in the aisle? Lin Yi rejected Han Jingjing's request immediately. He wouldn't be able to go to class if he agreed to it. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything else either. Let this big sister sit there and you sit in the middle. Wouldn't I be able to sit next to you then? Han Jingjing's logic wasn't wrong. No. Lin Yi didn't wait for Xinyan to say anything. Han Jingjing still wanted to say something, but Boss Bai walked into the classroom with a textbook in his hand. Han Jingjing had no choice but to find a random seat and sit down, a little depressed. Xinyan looked at Han Jingjing curiously, then at Lin Yi. She wanted to ask something but didn't want Lin Yi to think that she was being nosy. Han Jingjing's here already? The moment Boss Bai entered the classroom, he saw Han Jingjing. He nodded to her and said, "Let me introduce her to you. This is Han Jingjing, the second female student of our medicine major. She was delayed by something before and only came to school today." Something to attend to before? Was she trying to avoid military training? Some of the students in the classroom couldn't help but think of Han Jingjing, a delicate beauty. It wasn't a big deal to run away. Therefore, after Boss Bai's introduction, there was a warm applause in the class. Obviously, these boys expressed their warm welcome to Han Jingjing. Alright, that's all for the introductions. Let's get ready for class. Boss Bai knocked on the podium and said, "Our major is special. Other majors usually don't have specialized courses in the freshman year, but ours is different. We have specialized courses from the freshman year, and they take up a large proportion. Of course, all the professional courses will be taught by me alone." Hearing Boss Bai's words, everyone was not too surprised because after the military training, the timetable was distributed by way to all, and everyone knew the curriculum of the first semester of the freshman year. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure handmade TXT novels. Today was Boss Bai's first class, so he didn't go straight to the main subject. Instead, he talked about what the students in the medical major had to learn in the 4 years of university, what they had to master, and what they would achieve after they graduated from this major. However, to everyone's surprise, many core researchers of large pharmaceutical companies had graduated from Boss Bai's school, which made all the students present feel a sense of respect for Boss Bai. No wonder the seniors in their families insisted that they apply for this school. Most of the students here, except for those who loved medicinal herbs, were from families related to medicine. Their families either owned pharmaceutical factories or pharmaceutical companies, or engaged in the research and development of health products or set up traditional Chinese medicine hospitals. Therefore, they sent the children of their relatives and friends here to study. They wanted to learn some real skills so that they could contribute to their family's business when they went back. That Han Jingjing. Xinyan couldn't help but ask Lin Yi during the break. She's my neighbor, she forced me to bring her to class this morning. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I think there's something wrong with her IQ. Why is she acting so dumb? A neighbor. Xinyan felt a little sour in her heart, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. It was a very strange feeling, one that she'd never felt before. Yeah. Lin Yi was just about to say something when he saw Han Jingjing walking over. What do you want this time? Big bro Lin Yi, where's the washroom? I want to go. Han Jingjing blushed. Can't you go look for it? Lin Yi's face darkened. Why did this Han Jingjing look like she hadn't seen much of the world? Why didn't she know anything? Judging from her ability to buy a villa, she couldn't be the young miss of some big family, could she? She was the type that had everything at her fingertips. I'm afraid I'll get lost. Han Jingjing said, a little embarrassed. I'll go with you, I want to go as well, Xinyan said as she stood up. Han Jingjing's eyes flashed with disappointment, but it was gone in a flash. She nodded to Xinyan. All right, thank you, sis. It's nothing, it's on the way, Xinyan said as she brought Han Jingjing to the washroom. Xinyan actually wanted to get to know this new girl as well. They were the only two girls in the class after all, and it'd be more convenient to have a girl with them when there were activities in the future. It'd save the awkward situation of having to change clothes during military training. Xinyan and Han Jingjing went to the washroom, but Bai Weituo came over. Big bro Lin, what's up with this Han Jingjing? Don't tell me she's a freshman too? It's nothing, I met her on the way to school, she's also a medical major, so I brought her here. Lin Yi didn't mention that he was Han Jingjing's neighborhood, there were too many people around Bai Weituo. What if they all went to his house after he told them? At that time Miss and Shu would both be at home and it would be difficult to explain. Therefore Lin Yi planned to talk to Bai Weituo in private. No way, such good luck. Song Xiaodao said enviously, why can't I touch it? Now that I'm single, Lao Bai and Xing Ji both have their own targets. Better than yourself. Lin Yi was stunned and looked at Zhao Xingji. Lin Yi knew that Bai Weituo was pursuing He Meiyue, but he didn't know why Zhao Xingji also had a target. Chai Xiaoling hee. Zhao Xingji said with a big belly. Lin Yi looked at Zhao Xingji and thought of Chai Xiaoling's petite figure. He felt a chill run down his spine. The two of them together were truly a stark contrast. By the way, Bai Weituo, how's the preparation for the freshman party? Lin Yi asked. There's basically no problem. I've talked to my classmates yesterday. I'm the main singer of our class's choir. Bai Weituo said, there's no class this afternoon. Let's start rehearsing. Chapter 1939. Date, October 20th. Chapter 1951. What should I do? That's good. Since you agreed to compete with that Zhang Duopan, you have to show your true abilities. If you lose, you won't be able to explain it to He Meiyue. Lin Yi cared a lot about Bai Weituo, but there wasn't much Lin Yi could do to help with the performance. I know, don't worry. That Zhang Duopan clearly doesn't have any artistic cells in him. I'm confident I can beat him. Bai Weituo said confidently. But don't underestimate him. That kid is a bit devious. Lin Yi said. He could tell from the incident in the cafeteria that Zhang Duopan was a cunning person. It wasn't long before Xinyan and Han Jingjing came back from the washroom. The two seemed to have gotten to know each other a little better, but Xinyan didn't invite Han Jingjing to sit with her. Perhaps she didn't want to ruin the peace and tranquility she had with Lin Yi in class. Xinyan was already used to sharing a table with Lin Yi, and it gave her a sense of security. It was as if everything was supposed to be like this. Xinyan didn't want anyone else to get involved and ruin the peace that they didn't know how long it would last. He heard that Zhao Long was studying for a doctorate in medicine at Donghai Industry University, and he was here to create an opportunity for him to interact with Zhao Long. If Zhao Long were to appear, this peace would be broken. At noon, Lin Yi sent a text to the miss, telling her that he was going back to Songshan to see Sun Jingyi. He wanted to see her practitioner's arts and pure qi and compare it with the pure qi in Grandma Sun's head. The miss agreed without hesitation but gave Lin Yi a difficult mission. She wanted Lin Yi to go back to the villa and bring her underwear from her room on the second floor. Although there were underwear for sale here, some misses were used to wearing underwear and didn't want to change. Lin Yi was speechless. He remembered that the miss didn't even let him go upstairs when he first arrived, but now? She even wanted him to bring her underwear. But when did the miss become so bold? Hadn't she always been a reserved person? While Lin Yi was puzzled, Meng Yao was about to explode. Shu, who told you to do that? Oh, didn't Sister Yao Yao say that you're not used to the new lingerie and pajamas you bought? You want to bring all of them from Songshan's house? I saw that Shield Bro was going back, so I asked him to get it. Yushu said confidently. But he doesn't need to go get it. What if he sees what's in the cabinet? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, wanting to kick her to death. In the cupboard? What's that? Yushu blinked. You bought it yourself. Don't you know what it is? Meng Yao said angrily. That spinning stick you bought from the mail order. Why did you have to buy it out of curiosity? Meng Yao's reminder reminded Yushu abruptly that there was a box in the cabinet with some imitation female products in it. Yushu had bought it online out of curiosity, but realized that it could damage the hymen when she bought it, so she didn't dare try it out. She'd only studied it for a while before tossing it into the cabinet, forgetting about it after that. She didn't expect Meng Yao to remember it though. What's with the gauze? Hurry up and text him not to take it. Meng Yao was pissed. But isn't texting us now? What if Shield Bro gets even more curious? Yushu said. Meng Yao thought about it. What if she texted Lin Yi to stop him from getting the underwear? He'd probably think it'd be weird if she stopped him from getting the underwear and he'd check it out. It'd be like she and Shu were perverts hiding things from him on purpose. Meng Yao sighed dejectedly at the thought. Forget it, I'll let you explain tonight. Oh, it's fine, I'll explain it. Don't worry, I won't drag Yao Yao down with me. Yushu promised with a pat on her chest. It had nothing to do with me. Meng Yao roared, frustrated. But you studied it too, Yao Yao. You didn't object when I bought it. Yushu said. Then how are you going to explain it? Meng Yao didn't want to dwell on the topic. I told you I wanted to do XX with Shield Bro, but I didn't know how to do it, so I bought one to study and understand the structure just in case. Yushu said. Whatever you want. Meng Yao was speechless. Yushu had always been tough and it was best for her to explain. Before he left, he went back to the dorm. The box of American dollars he got from the drug dealer was still in his backpack. He was going to give it to Xiaoka. Although Fatty Lai could support Xiaoka in the construction of the orphanage by waiving some of the construction fees and material fees, the children in the orphanage still needed money. Fatty Lai couldn't provide the money endlessly. After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company needed a lot of money to develop. Lin Yi didn't want to waste his money. After taking the money, Lin Yi called Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi was surprised and happy when she received Lin Yi's call. Big thief, why are you calling me? I thought you forgot about me. Sun Jingyi's attitude towards Lin Yi was slowly changing. At first she had a good impression of Lin Yi, but now she was a little moved. It wasn't until the Noble House meeting that Sun Jingyi realized how strong Lin Yi was. At first Sun Jingyi was hesitant. She didn't know whether she liked Lin Yi or admired Lin Yi. But after seeing Ling Shan throwing herself at him, Sun Jingyi's competitive heart was touched. If she didn't grab onto such a good man, she wouldn't get another chance like this in the future. And these few days when Sun Jingyi heard that Ling Shan was going to be transferred to Donghe, she was even more worried. She cursed Ling Shan for being so shameless. Lin Yi's wife just went to Shuegu, and Ling Shan was already in a hurry to get the position. She couldn't let her get her way. After all, she was Lin Yi's lover. It would be easier for her to go from a lover to a wife than an outsider like Ling Shan, right? Sometimes things were just so strange. Sun Jingyi went from being a little moved towards Lin Yi to suddenly occupying her whole heart. This strange phenomenon could be said to be a subtle influence. When Sun Jingyi calmed down, even she felt that it was unbelievable. Did she fall in love with Lin Yi just like that? When did it happen? When she asked him to help her deal with her business rivals? Or when she asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend to trick Wu Chentian? Or when she asked him to be her boyfriend to meet her grandpa? Xiaoshu, Chapter 1940. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1952. The Alliance of the Strong. Or was it at the Noble House meeting when Lin Yi showed off his power? Sun Jingyi didn't remember exactly when it started, but she was sure that she had fallen in love with Lin Yi. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so impulsive when she heard that Lingshan was going to Donghe. And so, Sun Jingyi decided to discuss it with Chen Tian. The two of them would go to Donghe as well. She didn't think that Lin Yi would call before Sun Jingyi could find Chen Tian. "You're still at your old place, right? I'll come find you in a bit," Lin Yi said. You're looking for me? Aren't you in Donghe?" Sun Jingyi paused. "Yes, but I'll be going back to Songshan later. I have something to talk to you about," Lin Yi said. "All right, see you later," Jingyi said, suppressing the joy in her heart as she hung up the phone. Sun Jingyi knew very well that Lin Yi was probably looking for her for some reason. It wasn't just because he missed her, but no matter what, Sun Jingyi was still very happy to see Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't waste any more time and went straight to the highway. Lin Yi had quite a few things to do in Songshan. Other than checking on Sun Jingyi's qi, he had to send money to Xiaoke, go to Songshan's Songshan First School to see Ziyu and Chen Shi, and then he had to get the Miss underwear. 2 hours later, Lin Yi's car stopped at the food street behind Songshan's First School. A trace of confusion flashed through Lin Yi's eyes as he looked at the familiar scenery. It was as if he'd experienced a lot of things with someone important here, but what exactly they were Lin Yi couldn't remember. Frowning, Lin Yi shook his head helplessly, got out of the car and walked towards the first high school. The guard of the first high school naturally recognized Lin Yi. When he saw Lin Yi enter, he didn't stop him. It was after class and there were many students on the sports field. This was such a familiar memory. Seeing the familiar sports field, the familiar teaching building and the familiar cafeteria not far away, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh with emotion. "Student, do you know which class Ziyu and Chen Shi are in?" Lin Yi asked a random student who looked like he was a freshman. You don't know?" When the student heard Lin Yi's question, he looked at Lin Yi strangely. "Are they famous?" Lin Yi was also stunned. It was strange that he didn't know. "Not very famous but extremely famous. Ziyu and Chen Shi are the prettiest girls in the first year, but Ziyu has a hot personality. Not just anyone would go after her. Only school bully Zhou Ruoming would go after her." The student started talking excitedly. "But compared to Ziyu, Chen Shi is more popular. She's the commoner prettiest girl in school and she's the target of many boys' fantasies. She's here to replace the commoner prettiest girl who graduated last year." "Commoner prettiest girl?" Lin Yi repeated those 4 words. What a familiar name. He seemed to have heard of it before. Right, are you from our school or not? How come you don't know anything?" With that, the student looked at Lin Yi with caution. "Let me tell you, we can't even fight for the prettiest girl in our school. If you're from another school, you can pass." "I'm Ziyu's brother." Lin Yi smiled. So you're Ziyu's brother. Then it's fine, bye." The student looked at Lin Yi, a little awkward. Calling his sister a hot personality in front of Ziyu's brother was something embarrassing. "Wait, which class is Ziyu in?" Lin Yi asked. "Aren't you her brother? How come you don't know which class she's in?" The student looked at Lin Yi suspiciously. Distant relative just visiting her on the way. With that, Lin Yi turned and walked towards the school building. Could it be some random excuse made up by Ziyu's pursuer? The student shook his head and ignored him. Ziyu and Chen Shi were the prettiest girls in school, but they were too far away from normal boys like them. They couldn't be reached. Lin Yi walked into the school building with familiarity, and found his classroom in no time at all. There was a group of people surrounding the classroom, and one of them was holding a bouquet of flowers, as if he was declaring his love for a girl. "Ziyu, just say yes, I'm true to you, I really am." The guy was saying mushy words of love. But Lin Yi recognized this guy. Who else could it be but Zhou Ruoming? This guy was showing his love to Ziyu. This made Lin Yi frown. He'd only been gone for a few days and the Zhou brothers were acting like this again? Didn't he ask Zhou Ruoguang to take care of Ziyu? Why was his brother Zhou Ruoming harassing Ziyu himself? Did this family want to die? But from the looks of it, Zhou Ruoming didn't do anything overboard, so Lin Yi decided to wait and see. Ziyu had been really annoyed these past few days. When Zhou Ruoming wrote her love letters, she didn't even look at them before throwing them away. He asked her out to eat a few times but she rejected all of them. Who would have thought that Zhou Ruoming would be standing in front of the classroom with a bouquet of flowers? Zhou Ruoming, are you done? Didn't I tell you that my brother is really strong? If you keep bothering me, I'll tell him to break your third leg. Ziyu put her hands on her waist and glared at Zhou Ruoming. The surrounding students were speechless. She was the hot school beauty after all, so fierce. Breaking someone's third leg with just one sentence. My brother's really strong too. That's even better, we're a strong team. Zhou Ruoming grinned. Ziyu frowned. It seemed like this guy wasn't going to let it go if she didn't do something drastic. You know the boss of the North District, Guangbro, right? Ziyu didn't want to mention these gangsters at first, since she'd promised Lin Yi that she'd study hard. She hadn't been fighting anyone with a knife in this period of time, but she didn't expect that they'd come looking for trouble instead. Book Ocean Pavilion, she's here as soon as possible. Boss of the North District, Guangbro? Isn't that my brother? He's called Zhou Ruoguang and I'm Zhou Ruoming. Your brother wouldn't be my brother, would he? Zhou Ruoming grinned. Could it be that Ziyu's brother was her godbrother? That was even better. Now that they were together, they'd be even closer. It wasn't that Lin Yi left, but Zhou Ruoguang didn't think that Zhou Ruoming and Ziyu would have anything to do with each other. He didn't know that Ziyu would come to Songshan's first school. Target equals underweight. Chapter 1941. Date, October 20th. Chapter 1953. Her brother is me, so Zhou Ruoguang's your brother, that's even better. But he's not good enough to be my brother. Your brother's nothing but a pug in front of my brother. Ziyu remembered how much respect Zhou Ruoguang had for Lin Yi, and she couldn't help but feel proud of herself. This was even better. Bringing up Zhou Ruoguang and having him ask around would make this guy stop bothering her. What did you say? Zhou Ruoguang's face darkened. This was a slap in the face. He didn't use force on her before because he knew that she was a hooligan, but now she was calling him a pug. Zhou Ruoguang was furious. Who the hell is your brother? I'm her brother. Lin Yi smiled and walked over. Zhou Ruoguang paused, not expecting someone to answer. He turned around and his face changed. He didn't expect it to be Lin Yi, and his legs went soft, almost falling on his butt. He thought about what Ziyu said before, that your brother's nothing but a pug in front of my bro. She wasn't wrong at all. Even his old man Zhou Tiandi was nothing in front of Hayashi Lin, let alone Zhou Ruoguang. Hayashi Lin. Ziyu's your sister. Zhou Ruoguang just realized how stupid of a thing he'd done. Of all people, he had to go after Ziyu. His target was Qin Shi, the commoner beauty, but Tang Yun, the commoner beauty, got beaten up by Lin Yi, so he was a bit traumatized. He didn't expect her to be Lin Yi's sister. Why haven't you graduated yet, kid? Can't you do something proper? You only know how to hit on girls. Lin Yi frowned. He could tell that Ziyu wasn't at a disadvantage, so Lin Yi didn't bother with Zhou Ruoguang. With a hooligan like him in school, he could at least look after Ziyu and Qin Shi. Hayashi Lin, I can't get into college, so I'll just stay here for a few more years. Zhou Ruoguang said awkwardly. I'm sorry, Hayashi Lin, I didn't know Ziyu was your sister. I wouldn't have gone after her even if I had 100 guts if I did. I'll throw this flower away. Alright, you don't have to throw it away. Lin Yi snatched the flower from Zhou Ruoguang's hands. I'll give it to you then. Ziyu, this is for you. Ziyu was already very surprised to see Lin Yi, and seeing Lin Yi give her a flower, her heart skipped a beat and her face blushed. In front of outsiders she was a hot girl, but in front of Lin Yi she was a good girl. She took the flower and said shyly, Lin Yi bro, thank you. Zhou Ruoguang was a bit dumbfounded. Ziyu had this shy side to her? But then he remembered that Lin Yi and Ziyu didn't have the same surname. Could they be siblings? At that thought, Zhou Ruoguang's legs shivered. He really was blind, chasing two women who were Hayashi Lin's women. He was asking to die. Lin Yi bro. Qin Shi saw Lin Yi as well, but her face darkened when she saw Lin Yi giving flowers to Ziyu. She recovered quickly and her mood was replaced with joy. Why are you here? Lin Yi's senses were sharp. How could he not see the sadness in Qin Shi's eyes? She smiled and split the flowers in Ziyu's hands into two, giving one to Qin Shi. This was for you too. I was just about to ask Ziyu to give it to you. Yeah, Qin Shi, Lin Yi bro wanted to give it to you. Ziyu looked at Qin Shi teasingly as well. She knew what Qin Shi was thinking, of course. She'd been joking with her about Lin Yi a lot lately. Is that so? She was happy, but she jumped when she saw Ziyu's eyes. She was afraid that she'd say something inappropriate in front of Lin Yi. Thank you, Linny bro, let's talk outside the classroom. It's not too good. She was a bit shy. She had puppy love in her classmates, but she was the type of girl who was more cautious. She had a crush on Lin Yi, but she didn't want people to see it. In fact, even Zhou Ruoming could tell what she was thinking. Zhou Ruoming sighed to himself. If he'd gone after Shi back then, he'd be in big trouble. Going after a weak girl like Shi. Zhou Ruoming wouldn't do what he did to Ziyu. He'd definitely do what he did to Tang Yun, threatening her. But if he did that, Lin Yi would probably stomp him to death. What's going on? What are you all standing at the classroom door for? A familiar voice rang out, and the students at the door dispersed immediately. Even Zhou Ruoming carefully moved to the side. What are you three standing there for? The voice rang out again, this time for Lin Yi, Ziyu and Shi. Ah, Mr. Wang, I'm here to see my sisters. Lin Yi smiled as he greeted the owner of the voice. Jifeng's face turned a bit weird when he saw Lin Yi. He was relieved that Lin Yi had graduated. He could finally go back to being that powerful headmaster, but now Lin Yi was back. He didn't dare pretend in front of Lin Yi. Now that Lin Yi had graduated, he wasn't afraid of him anymore. What if Lin Yi said something about what happened before? He'd be in trouble. Therefore Wang Jifeng immediately put on a kind smile. These two are your younger sisters. Are they from grade 5, class 5? I understand. If you need anything in the future, you can come find me anytime. Shi, Ziyu, Mr. Wang said that if you need anything, just go find him. Like if someone's chasing after you or something, Lin Yi said with a smile. Ziyu's eyes widened. She didn't think that the headmaster would be this nice to Lin Yi. Just who was this guy? Why was he so cocky everywhere he went? Ziyu was practically worshipping Lin Yi now. There's no need for the headmaster to do anything. I'll take care of it for Hayashi Lin. Zhou Ruoming was worried that Lin Yi would come looking for trouble. He quickly patted his chest in front of Lin Yi. Jifeng was speechless. This Zhou Ruoming was so loyal after getting beaten up by Lin Yi a couple of times. This guy was really a softie. But then again, wasn't his weakness in Lin Yi's hands as well? Chapter 1942. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1954. Ziyu's idea. These two could be considered the black and white sides of the school. No one would dare bully Ziyu and Shi in school anymore. The next class's gym we're not going. Linny bro, bring us out for a walk, we haven't seen you in a long time. Ziyu said, skipping class right in front of the dean. It's fine. You guys go if you have something to do, I'll talk to the gym teacher. Jifeng said, wishing that Lin Yi would leave. She wasn't as smart as Ziyu, and her eyes went wide at the words of the strict dean. He couldn't believe it. But Ziyu was already holding her hand, following Lin Yi out of the school building. Ziyu, not bad, actually reaching the minimum requirement to pay for your own expenses. It seems like she's hard work this time. The first half of Lin Yi's sentence was to praise Ziyu, and Ziyu was feeling proud of herself. But the second half of Lin Yi's sentence was to praise Shi. This made Ziyu very depressed. It's true that it's she's work, but she tried her best too. Ziyu said, a little unhappy. Yeah, Linny bro, Ziyu really put in a lot of effort. Shi said. I know, I don't want her to get arrogant. Linny said. But you didn't disappoint me, Ziyu. Study hard and you'll be able to face yourself and your brother in the future. Bye, brother. Ziyu's face was a little down when she heard Lin Yi bring up her brother. My brother's mission isn't done yet? When will he come back? I don't know about that, some things are confidential and I can't just say it like that. Please remember. Lin Yi said. But it'll be a long time, or your brother wouldn't have asked me to take care of you. The person my brother asked isn't bad at all. Big brother Lin Yi, you're so awesome. Wherever you go, people seem to be afraid of you. Even that black-faced Wang Jifeng treats you kindly. You're really awesome. Ziyu had been scolded by Wang Jifeng a couple of times since school, and she naturally held a grudge against him. Seeing how nice he was to Lin Yi today, Ziyu felt a lot better. Do you have enough money? He came to see Ziyu mainly because he wanted to ask if she had any money to spend. The school had waived her tuition, but she still needed money for her living. Fortunately, I haven't spent all the money you left me last time. I don't really need money. Ziyu wasn't the kind of girl who spent a lot of money. She usually spent money on transportation and food and she didn't really buy clothes. Well, it's good that you know how to be thrifty, but don't waste yourself too much. This is a card with 20,000 yuan in it. If you use it sparingly, it should be enough for a semester. Lin Yi said as he handed a card to Ziyu. This was the card Lin Yi got before coming. The password is 6 zeros. This. My brother told you to give me? Ziyu didn't want to take Lin Yi's money. Yeah, your brother left me some money and told me to give it to you regularly, Lin Yi said vaguely. Oh. Ziyu didn't hold back and took the card, putting it in her pocket. How's your mom? She's fine now, right? Lin Yi didn't know why, but he thought of old Zhu again. That guy always had bad intentions and he didn't know if he'd tried to harm Qinshi's mom again. Mom's better now and she's working at that beef noodle house now. She's a part-time waitress making 2,000 a month. Qinshi was very happy when she talked about her mom's situation. Not only was her mom better, but she could also go out and earn money. Qinshi's family's life was a lot easier now. With her mom's income, Qinshi didn't have to scavenge every day anymore. She could only go out on weekends and it wouldn't affect her studies. Lin Yi nodded. Alright, go back and study then. I'm leaving now, I'm studying at Donghe. Call me if you need anything. You're leaving? Qinshi didn't want Lin Yi to leave, but she wasn't someone who was good at expressing herself. She didn't know how to make him stay. Lin Yi bro, since you're here, don't leave so early. You didn't even treat me and she to dinner. Ziyu said coquettishly. When my brother comes back, I'll tell him how you treat us. Ha. Lin Yi smiled, but his heart tightened. Ziyu might never know that her brother was already dead, and she'd never see Armadillo again. At that thought, Lin Yi's face changed. Let's go, I'll treat you guys to dinner. What do you want to eat? I want to eat the beef noodle house she's mom works at, Ziyu said. I tried it once before and I thought it was a bit expensive. This time it's your treat, Lin Yi bro. Alright, let's go then. Lin Yi sighed. Ziyu was a good girl by nature and being in that school before was actually a form of protection for herself. She wouldn't be able to survive alone in that kind of environment, and even if she did survive, she might catch the eye of some hoodlum and become their slave. After treating Ziyu and Qinshi to some noodles, Lin Yi sent them back to school, telling them to study hard before leaving. Lin Yi's heart was a bit heavy. Seeing Ziyu's happy face, Lin Yi's heart was pounding. He'd have to tell her about Armadillo sooner or later, but how was he supposed to tell her? I don't even know what to say to you. Haven't you heard that you have to fight for your own happiness? You're so quiet, can't you be a bit more proactive? How many years does it take for Lin Yi bro to come visit us? Look, you're wasting the chance, aren't you? Ziyu scolded Qinshi. Ziyu had guessed Qinshi's thoughts and she denied it at first, but after a while she admitted it. Liking Lin Yi wasn't something to be ashamed of, and so Ziyu started teaching her how to chase guys, but she didn't have the chance to put what she taught her into practice. Man, no, I need to do something else next time. Do you know how to flirt? Find a chance next time and trick Lin Yi bro to come to my house. Dress a bit more sexily and flirt with him, maybe it'll work. Ziyu said. Ziyu sis, what are you talking about? I don't know how to. That's so indecent. Qinshi's face got redder. Ziyu actually came up with something like this, telling her to flirt? Wasn't that something only bad girls would do? Target equals undefined. Chapter 1943. Date: October 20th. Chapter 1955. Depressing and depressing, what's so improper about it? Haven't you heard of this saying? Women need to be able to go to the hall, cook in the kitchen and get on the bed. Ziyu said with a serious face. You need to be noble and dignified in front of outsiders, gentle and virtuous at home, good at cooking. When you're in bed you need to be horny. Men all like women like that. Ziyu used to be a delinquent girl living with a bunch of men. She'd heard a lot of this stuff and now she was teaching Qinshi. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure TT handmade. Really? Qinshi was more innocent, but Ziyu's words made sense. But that was too embarrassing and she couldn't do it. Of course no, I have to keep training you or you won't have a big chance. Ziyu said. Ziyu sis, can we not get on the bed? Qinshi said bitterly. How can we do that? This is the most important thing. Ziyu said, don't worry, it's easy to learn. I'll get you some movies and you'll know when you come to my house." Okay. She stupidly agreed. After leaving the first high school, Lin Yi drove back to the villa area. Ever since he went to East Box, no one had come to this villa for a long time. Lin Yi opened the door of the villa and suddenly felt a sense of desolation. Lin Yi didn't delay. He went upstairs and came to the elder sister and Shu's bedroom on the second floor. This used to be Lin Yi's forbidden place, but later, everyone's relationship became harmonious. Lin Yi came up a few times, but if there was nothing important, Lin Yi still wouldn't come. See me. Opening her wardrobe, Lin Yi found a clean underwear storage box and took out the underwear and pajamas in the wardrobe one by one and put them in the storage box. Big Sister's and Shu's underwear were basically cute. Many of them were printed with cartoon patterns, but even so, it still gave people a feeling of imagination. Looking at the underwear in front of him, Lin Yi couldn't help but think of the incident at Grandma Sun's house, when Big Sister took off her clothes to take a bath. He immediately cursed the 3 Earth-rank bastards for coming at the wrong time. Burning them to death with fire poison was really letting them off easy. After packing the underwear, Lin Yi found that there was a box under the cabinet. Lin Yi didn't think much about it. He thought that it was a new underwear that hadn't been unpacked, so he picked it up. But when he held it in his hand, he was shocked. Damn, it's so big. Lin Yi looked at the huge thing in front of him and was shocked. Such a huge female masturbator, was it for Big Sister or Shu? But it doesn't seem like it. Big Sister definitely isn't this kind of person, and Shu, although her character is a bit tough, in Lin Yi's opinion she wouldn't use such a terrifying thing. However, this appeared in Big Sister and Shu's cabinet. Other than the two of them, there really wasn't anyone else. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure TT handmade. Lin Yi was a bit hesitant. He didn't know if he should give it to them. He wanted to ask Big Sister and Shu, but Lin Yi was too embarrassed to do so. After a moment of silence, Lin Yi directly stuffed the box into the storage box. He gave it to them anyway so they wouldn't need it anymore. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. Perhaps Shu bought it to prank others. This girl often tricked people, so it wasn't impossible for her to buy something like this and stuff it into the bags of Zhong Pingliang and the others. After packing these things, Lin Yi put the storage box in the car's trunk. He then turned back to his room and took out a male thief mask. Lin Yi thought about it and decided to meet Yuku as the male thief. He'd helped her last time with his identity and the girl had misunderstood him. He didn't want to go through the trouble of explaining to her. Yuku was going crazy recently. Although the construction of the orphanage was on the right track and most of the buildings were built by Fatty Lai's company for free, she still lacked money. Yes, she lacked money very much. There was no other reason. Lingshan had recently uncovered a criminal group that specialized in kidnapping and selling children, raising them to become beggars, entertainers, and thieves. The person in charge of this group was Njenda, but he was beaten half to a pulp by Lin Yi and was sent back to the firewolves by the professor. His underlings didn't know about this, and while they were waiting for Njenda to come back, the police came to their door and wiped out their criminal base. Although the criminals had been sent to prison, the children and street children who had been caught had become a big problem. The police released pictures of these children, and while waiting for their parents to come and claim them, they sent them to the city's orphanage. Of course, everyone knew that other than a few parents who would recognize their children and take them back, most of the children would stay in the orphanage forever. Some of the children were even sold or abandoned by their cruel parents, so why would they take them back? The orphanage suddenly had more than 200 children, and that meant more than 200 mouths. No matter how rich Yuku was, she wouldn't be able to take care of all these children. The money that Lin Yi gave her last time was basically used up, and Yuku was so anxious that she wanted to go back to her old business. In fact, the orphanage could totally reject these 200 orphans. After all, the orphanage wasn't in a good financial situation right now, and suddenly having so many children would definitely increase the burden. However, Yuku and the old director were kind people. They opened this orphanage not to make money but completely out of love. Yuku even went to the hospital to adopt abandoned babies. Faced with so many homeless children, how could she reject them? Master, there are so many children. Food, clothes, and daily necessities. This cost is too much and we can't afford it. Why don't we borrow some money from Chairman Lai? Yuka didn't want to borrow money unless it was absolutely necessary. She didn't know why Lin Yi was so good to her. Not only did he give her a sum of money last time, but now he let Fatty Lai build some facilities for the orphanage during the factory's free time. Although most of the materials used were left over from the factory's construction, and the construction time wasn't fixed, he only helped the orphanage when his construction company was free. Although the progress was slow, the orphanage didn't have to pay a single cent. So Yuku was a little puzzled. What was Lin Yi doing? Since she already knew that she had someone she liked and it was impossible for her to have anything to do with him, he still did this for another reason. But if that wasn't the case, then why? Chapter 1944. Date: October 20th. Master, your identity? Xiaoke was startled. She knew a little about her master, and if her master were to show his face in public, his life would be in danger. It's been so many years and that incident should be over by now. Plus, I only accept missions from the thief's door, so there shouldn't be any problems, the dean said. Master, why don't I go? Xiaoke hesitated. No. You almost lost your life last time, and if it wasn't for the male thief protecting you, you wouldn't have made it back. The dean rejected Xiaoke's suggestion. Although you are proficient in some mechanisms and dark arts, your experience is still too little. Facing those cunning people of the same profession, how are you a match for them? Hearing the dean's words, Xiaoke couldn't help but fall into silence. It was true that during the tomb robbery, if it wasn't for the male thief protecting her, she would have become old Hayes cannon fodder. She wouldn't even know how she died. Man, if only the male thief could come with me. Xiaoke sighed. Lin Yi stood outside the dean's room quietly, listening to their conversation. He didn't think that the orphanage was still so difficult. He thought that with the money he gave them last time, and with Fatty Lai's free help, the orphanage would have a good life. Who knew that there would suddenly be 200 more orphans? This was killing Xiaoke. With Xiaoke's personality, even if she didn't eat or drink, she wouldn't let these children suffer. So, although Xiaoke was a little reckless and greedy, Lin Yi had a good impression of her. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have thought of giving this small box of money to Xiaoke immediately. Lin Yi didn't disturb her and waited for Xiaoke outside the room. He didn't want the dean to know that he was here, and he only wanted to see Xiaoke and leave after giving her the things. Lin Yi didn't want too many people to know his identity as the male thief. This dean was a half-golden class master, and Lin Yi felt that she had some secrets. Xiaoke also said that she seemed to have a grudge against someone, so Lin Yi didn't want to have too much to do with her. After talking to the dean, Xiaoke left the room, but she didn't take 2 steps before a voice came from behind. Flying Sparrow, can I talk to you? Lin Yi suddenly appeared behind Xiaoke. Xiaoke froze, but hearing the familiar voice and the unique name, her eyes lit up with excitement. Male thief. She turned around and saw the familiar mask. Xiaoke's heart skipped a beat and her cute face blushed. This was the person that she thought about day and night, the person that always appeared in her dreams. She didn't think that he would appear in front of her again. Didn't he say that they wouldn't meet again every time they parted? But it didn't take long for them to meet again, and it made Xiaoke very happy. It's me, but aren't you going to invite me to your room? It's not good for others to see me like this, right? Lin Yi pointed at his mask and smiled bitterly. Xiaoke couldn't see Lin Yi's bitter smile, but she could hear the awkwardness in Lin Yi's voice. She playfully said, "Then take off your mask." "Take it off. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed." "Sometimes expectations are better than reality," Lin Yi said faintly. "If you don't want to take it off, then don't take it off. Even if you're ugly, I still like you." Xiaoke was telling the truth. She liked the male thief as a person. She didn't know what he looked like, and he always wore that stiff mask in front of her, but Xiaoke liked him just the way she liked him. Then you can treat me as an ugly monster," Lin Yi smiled. Although Xiaoke said that, she still quickened her steps and brought Lin Yi to her room. Xiaoke was very excited. This was the second time the male thief came to find her, and this was a good start. After entering the room, Xiaoke happily made a cup of tea for Lin Yi and sat beside Lin Yi. "How come you have time to find me today? It seems like you're having a hard time, so this is for you." Lin Yi handed the small suitcase to Xiaoke. "What's this?" Xiaoke paused and took the suitcase, opening it. The moment she opened it, her eyes filled with a green light. American dollars. "So much? For me?" He nodded. "Wow, male thief, you're too good to me." Xiaoke hugged Lin Yi and kissed Lin Yi's mask. I love you so much. Lin Yi was a bit speechless. This Xiaoke treated the male thief and Lin Yi completely differently. Last time when he used Lin Yi's identity to give her money, she didn't seem happy at all, and even acted like he was plotting something against her. If it was the male thief, he would have thrown himself at her. This money came from illegal sources from a drug dealer. You should have a way to exchange it, right? Lin Yi reminded. That's no problem, we're from the thief sect, dealing with this kind of money is no problem at all, Xiaoke said nonchalantly. $1.5 million? Oh, that's great, it'll be enough for a long time. You can use it first, I'll send you more if I have this kind of money in the future. Lin Yi wouldn't mind cashing in again. I'm leaving now. You're leaving already? Xiaoke was a bit disappointed, but when she thought about how the male thief came to give her money, she felt sweet inside. He still cared about her after all. Otherwise, why would he think of her first after robbing a drug dealer? Right, does the thief sect, do you have a special channel for information? I'm looking for some rare items, do you have a way? Lin Yi was about to leave when he remembered something. Of course, I can help you, keep an eye out for what you're looking for. Xiaoke was overjoyed. She was afraid that the male thief would look for her if he didn't need anything. As long as they established a connection, wouldn't it be easy to meet him in the future? Chromatic steel, a type of multicolored steel. Lin Yi said. There's also blue crystal and pure yellow jade, these three things. Shortcut key, enter, next page, shortcut key. Chapter 1945. Date, October 20th. Oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for you. Xiaoke didn't have any suspicions after hearing what Lin Yi said. The male thief wouldn't look for normal things so seriously, so it was normal that she hadn't even heard of some of them before. But how do I contact you if I have any news? Xiaoke's eyes flashed with cunningness. As long as she got the male thief's contact number, she could call her often. Lin Yi wanted to give her his number, but he remembered that it was registered with his ID. What if Xiaoke checked it and found out who he was? So Lin Yi said, how about this, I'll come back after a while. Okay then. Xiaoke was a little disappointed, but the male thief agreeing to come back was much better than never seeing him again. I'll be going then. Lin Yi saw the reluctance in Xiaoke's eyes and sighed. Okay. Xiaoke nodded. Lin Yi turned around and walked towards the door. Male thief. Xiaoke couldn't help but call out again. What's wrong? Lin Yi turned around. I like you. Xiaoke had said these words countless times in her dream, although she'd confessed to Lin Yi before. She couldn't help but say it again when she saw him again. Lin Yi's footsteps paused, but he didn't say anything. He shook his head and quickly left the room, disappearing without a trace. Xiaoke, on the other hand, stared at Lin Yi's disappearing silhouette. Lost in thought, Lin Yi had no choice but to ask for Xiaoke's help. These three items were too precious, and although Fatty Lai had been asking around for them, there wasn't any news. The blue crystal was something that could only be found by chance, and as for the pure yellow jade, he didn't know where it was either. There was no news about Kai Gang either, so Lin Yi could only try his luck and ask for Xiaoke's help. After leaving the orphanage, Lin Yi went back to the car and took off his mask. He called Sun Jingyi directly. Jingyi, where are you? I'm in Songshan now. Lin Yi said. You're already here? I'm at home, tell me a place and I'll go right away. Sun Jingyi said. Let's go to your home, some things can't be done in public. Lin Yi said. Sun Jingyi blinked and blushed. Some things can't be done in public? What did that mean? Could it be that Lin Yi wanted to? With that thought, Sun Jingyi couldn't help but blush. Could it be that Lin Yi wanted to exercise his right to let his lover do it? Let's call Wu Chintian too. Lin Yi couldn't see Sun Jingyi's expression, so he didn't know what she was thinking. Wu Chintian. Sun Jingyi was even more dumbfounded. Why would Lin Yi call Wu Chintian? Could it be that he wanted to do 3P? Xiao Xiao told her that she wanted to do 3P with Lin Yi. Could it be that Lin Yi really wanted to do it after tasting the sweetness? But giving Sun Jingyi to Lin Yi was fine, but giving it to Wu Chintian? Wasn't that asking for her death? Yeah, what's wrong? Lin Yi blinked, noticing that Sun Jingyi's tone wasn't right. Wu Chintian. That's not too good, right? Sun Jingyi may look like a strong woman in public, but in front of Lin Yi, she looked like a retard. Not good. That's right. Lin Yi thought about it. He wanted to ask Sun Jingyi about her practitioner's arts. Although Wu Qintian wasn't an outsider, it wouldn't be convenient. Lin Yi nodded. All right, I won't call him then. Phew. Sun Jingyi let out a breath of relief. That's not right. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that he didn't tell Sun Jingyi why he was looking for her. How could she know? So what did she mean by her words just now? With that thought, Lin Yi asked with a weird expression, Jingyi, you don't want me to call Wu Qintian, what do you mean? Didn't you want to do that with me? I'm not even ready yet, why are you looking for Wu Qintian? I'm not that kind of person. Sun Jingyi panicked when she heard that Lin Yi was looking for Wu Qintian again. The misunderstanding between the two was because they couldn't see each other. If Lin Yi could see Sun Jingyi, he would be able to guess what she misunderstood. And if Sun Jingyi could see the weird expression on Lin Yi's face, she would know that she misunderstood him. But they couldn't see each other's expressions and they could only guess from their words. And so, the misunderstanding grew bigger and bigger and Sun Jingyi exploded. Although Lin Yi was strong and she had feelings for him, but even if she had feelings for him, she couldn't just humiliate herself like that, could she? Although she wasn't ready, she was willing. But with Wu Qintian she might as well kill herself. Wah! Lin Yi didn't know what to do when he heard Sun Jingyi's sudden outburst, but he finally understood why Sun Jingyi misunderstood him. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Jingyi, what does this have to do with being promiscuous? I went to you to ask about House Sun's arts, and as for Wu Qintian, it was to discuss your future plans. But I thought that although Wu Qintian isn't an outsider, it's better to keep your arts a secret, so I didn't go to him. Did you misunderstand something? Sun Jingyi's face reddened even more. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. No way. She misunderstood? Furthermore, the misunderstanding was so thorough? How shameful. But luckily, Sun Jingyi knew that Lin Yi couldn't see her expression, so she coughed and said, I didn't misunderstand. What I mean is, I've never let anyone enter my room. Yes, only people I like can enter. So Wu Qintian can't come. Yes, that's it. Hearing Sun Jingyi's explanation, Lin Yi didn't purposely expose her. It was funny when he thought about it. Sun Jingyi thought that he was going to ask Wu Qintian to do it with her. Was he that shameless? Okay, can I come? Lin Yi asked. You are my half-lover, so others can't come, but you can come. Sun Jingyi said a little embarrassedly. Although she didn't directly admit that Lin Yi was the one she liked, it was a silent agreement. Tlen tips. Chapter 1946. Then you wait for me. Lin Yi found that Sun Jingyi, this little girl, was really interesting. On the surface she seemed to be strong. In fact, she was still a little girl who hadn't grown up. Her disguise was just to protect herself. The fickleness of human relationships in a big family made her learn to protect herself from an early age. And Sun Jingyi nodded shyly. Her disguise had already been seen through by Lin Yi, so Sun Jingyi wouldn't be so tired to protect herself in front of Lin Yi. She was like a wandering child who found a harbor to shelter from the wind. This feeling was very comfortable. Half an hour later, Lin Yi came to the community where Sun Jingyi rented. This was an apartment area. Although Lin Yi knew the address, he had never been here before. Parking the car downstairs, Lin Yi took the elevator upstairs and rang the doorbell of Sun Jingyi's house. After a while, Sun Jingyi's voice came from inside. Who is it? It's me, Lin Yi, said Lin Yi. The door was opened and Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi with some surprise. You're here. Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This little girl was obviously wearing pajamas at home, but her face was carefully made up. Obviously she dressed up for his arrival. This made Lin Yi feel surprised and helpless. Sun Jingyi, did it become real? Is it the pressure from the Sun family, or is it Sun Jingyi's own intention? Lin Yi didn't like the kind of purposeful interaction. If Sun Jingyi approached him on the idea of old man Sun, then Lin Yi would feel uncomfortable. Make yourself look more innocent. It's quite pleasing to the eye. It's much better than the mature look you used to have, Lin Yi said. The company has been sold. I have nothing to do. Of course I won't dress up anymore. Sun Jingyi listened to Lin Yi's words and was a little happy. Am I really beautiful today? Indeed. Lin Yi nodded and said, but the next time I come, you don't have to dress up. There's no need. You're already pretty good looking. Sun Jingyi's thoughts were exposed by Lin Yi, and she immediately felt a little embarrassed. She said, I went out to buy food. That's why I put on makeup. Do you think it's because of you? Shameless. What about food? I happen to be a little hungry. Lin Yi said. I've finished eating. Sun Jingyi snorted. Finished eating? Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi with a smile that wasn't a smile. I've really finished eating. I've thrown away the packaging. Sun Jingyi said. Book C Pavilion, oh, where did you throw the packaging? Let me see what you're eating. I'll go buy it too. I don't know what to eat anyway. Lin Yi said seriously. Lin Yi, are you doing this on purpose? Why are you so annoying? Sun Jingyi saw that Lin Yi was deliberately making fun of her. She simply stopped pretending and said angrily, I dressed up for you, okay? Are you satisfied? Ugh. Lin Yi didn't expect to make Sun Jingyi go berserk twice in one day. He suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He touched his chin and smiled bitterly. Jingyi, I'm just joking, me too. Sun Jingyi said. Hee okay, let's get down to business. Right, can you transfer some of your true chi to me? Lin Yi asked. My true chi? Transfer it to you? After Sun Jingyi was slightly stunned, her face became extremely strange. Are you serious? What's wrong? Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi's expression, and he faintly felt that there seemed to be something that he had neglected. When the people of our Sun family reach the first level, true chi can only be used by one person. If we can't reach the second level, then we can only transfer true chi to this person for the rest of our lives. Sun Jingyi said, don't you know? Lin Yi had heard of this situation, but he ignored this condition before. He thought that it was okay for Sun Jingyi to transfer some true chi. But now it seemed that if he wanted Sun Jingyi's true chi, it was equivalent to binding Sun Jingyi's lifetime happiness. Before Lin Yi made up his mind to accept this girl, he definitely couldn't do such a reckless thing. Therefore Lin Yi suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I forgot about this, but don't get me wrong. I just want to study your true chi. I don't mean anything else, I see. Sun Jingyi breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time she was a little disappointed. She was even thinking that if Lin Yi insisted, would she listen to him and transfer her true chi to him? In that case she could rely on him openly because she had pinned her lifetime happiness on Lin Yi. She, Sun Jingyi, could only serve Lin Yi for the rest of her life. So, if after you transfer your true chi to me, your true chi will automatically become the same as mine, then the true chi that you produce in the future will automatically become this kind of true chi? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a very important question and asked quickly. That's right. Sun Jingyi nodded. This mental cultivation of our Sun family is very strange. It is completely an auxiliary mental cultivation. Once the true chi in my body becomes your true chi, then no matter how much true chi I have, it will be the same kind of true chi. So that's how it is. There was a hint of understanding and joy in Lin Yi's eyes. If it was really like what Sun Jingyi said, then there was no need for him to study Sun Jingyi's true chi. No wonder he felt that the true chi in Grandma Sun's mind didn't have any evil intentions, and there was a familiar feeling. It turned out that this feeling didn't come from Sun Jingyi, but from Faubert. Since Grandma Sun was Faubert's wife, then the true chi that came out of Grandma Sun was naturally the same as Faubert's true chi. After thinking about this, Lin Yi secretly scolded himself for being stupid. He actually gave up what was close at hand and sought what was far away. Didn't he know everything when he tested Faubert's true chi? Yeah, what's wrong? Sun Jingyi saw that Lin Yi seemed to be very happy and she was somewhat puzzled. Hee Jingyi, thank you helped me solve a big problem. Lin Yi laughed. So your Sun family's mental cultivation is so strange, no wonder I can't see through your strength. From the moment Lin Yi met Sun Jingyi, he couldn't see through her strength. It could only be said that Sun Jingyi's mental cultivation belonged to the swordsman, but it wasn't completely swordsman. She didn't have a strength level, it was completely an auxiliary mental cultivation. Well, it's nothing. Sun Jingyi shook her head. She didn't understand what she had helped Lin Yi with. Oh right, Jingyi, can you give me a copy of your mental cultivation? Lin Yi suddenly thought that if he let Grandma Sun continue, could she continue to help Faubert? That you're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.